Andy, how's it going, lad?
Very well, yourself, Steve?
Not bad, mate. Welcome to come on the show. You're a bit of a character, mate. I've known you for all a fucking 30 minutes, mate. And we just went from the NC 500, Jimmy Savile.
This is where it's like it's completely out of context of that conversation we just had previously. Like, all right, sounds so you're interviewing a nonce.
No, it's fucking. So it's fucking house burnt down, and we were talking about fucking
NC 500, West
NC
Coast,
500 West Coast,
cycling, Ullapool. Not me cycling for anyone that's watching it. I mean, now I'm a cyclist, but not.
Oh, do you?
Well, yeah, I don't have much choice, do I?
proper. Why?
Why? Because Grampian Police decided I'm not allowed to drive a car anymore.
Interesting.
Or a bike. Or...
Well, we'll just cycle right past that.
Here we go.
Oh no, man! So fucking yeah. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Yeah, no problem. Pleasure to be invited.
It's there's a kind of upbeat vibe here, so I'm looking forward to this, mate.
It's I try to. Life can be pretty miserable, so you just kind of like have to. It's just like the life sentence. Just if you don't laugh, you cry.
Really, it's fucking true, mate. That I heard this fucking gay as fuck saying, but it's so true. Why do angels fly? Because they take themselves lightly.
But
and there's almost,
almost.
But it's fucking true, man. There's so much fucking serious shit right now.
But me and dad were in the cinema yesterday watching the latest
Mission Impossible.
The latest Mission Impossible. But honestly, it was like, given what's happened the last couple of days, me and Dad are sitting there, we look at each other and going, it's like there's a camera outside. Like, you know, it's just genuinely, because they're like, oh, the tensions of World War III. I'm like, it started. Like, people are saying, like, oh, World War III is going to start. But World War I and World War II, they didn't, until years afterwards, decide, you know, oh, that was the date at which it actually started. Even when it was long past it actually started. So, like, as far as I'm concerned, World War III, well and truly underway. They've just, no one has actually, it's not gone far enough for someone to go, oh, it was actually... You know, when so-and-so and so-and-so had a conversation together. I tried to actively avoid watching the news because, you know, in the nicest way possible, if I'm not getting bombed, it's not directly affecting me. Although I was on an Air India flight 3 months ago. And
wow.
so I'm seeing 2, 3 of them go down. I'm just like, whoo, nice, okay.
It's hard to fucking, you can't completely cut off from the news because
it's everywhere. You know, your social
phones,
media. You can't not.
You know, I like. I've built my so the algorithm as well is what you decide it to be. It's not some weird fucking donut out there going. You will look at what we want you to look at.
Yeah, no. If the police saw my algorithm, I'd genuinely. Mate, I'd have bomb squads around my house. And everything.
Just so to make you feel comfortable, right? Just so you're like, who is this person? This podcasty person. So. I've got a history of violence,
Okay.
And who's this chatty person? 9 years in the army.
Mm-hmm.
When I came out, I was a fucking disaster zone, and I'd been to war 4 times. You know, managed to come home unscathed.
Yeah.
Walking around like a fucking lunatic, like the world is ending. You know, like fucking.
Cool, because you've seen the other side of it.
Oh man,
like that's the thing. People like. Mate. I did 2 weeks there in Mumbai for work. Never set foot on the boat. Just sat in the hotel because the boat never came in. I saw 3 dead bodies. They were just dead in the street. And I said to one of my colleagues who had worked out there a lot, and I was like, why are people just looking at them like they're bin bags?
It's totally normal.
But it's normal. But also, I was told this, and I haven't fact checked it, so I could be wrong with this. But he'd said that he'd looked into it. If you report someone is dead in Mumbai, you are suspect number 1 for their murder.
Yep.
So everyone's just like, well, I'm not saying anything. I'm not having the police come around and be like, oh, you killed them. So they just like, you know, like genuinely stepped over a body at a set of traffic lights, and it was like he was grey. Like I've seen dead family members. Like I know what a dead body looks like, and the guy like there was, and obviously they're a little bit darker than us here in Scotland. And it was like, you know, he was grey, and I was like, oh, nice, okay. Like he was like dead, and I was just like. And I just went back to my hotel and, you know,
Croc told me a day.
Ate a Snickers, had a wank, went to bed. So, like, you know, just...
Didn't get an Indian then?
No. Oh, my insides were not well after that 2 weeks in Mumbai. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's when you know the oil that you, like, obviously get on the top of a curry?
Yeah.
Is after you've taken a shit and that is on the top of the water in the toilet. That's when you know it's bad. That's
I was in India last year for work. It's a beautiful place. It was Mumbai I went to. And
we were in different bits of Mumbai. I was down by the port, and it was slums. It was really rough.
I've been through the slums because it's funny because I did work there for a drilling company. I was out doing a talk, and I mean it was just the fact that we're like, yeah, can you come to India? I was like, yes, because I haven't been yet.
I've been there once, and I'm like, you know what, I might go to the countryside one time, but I'm not going back to Mumbai.
It is the traffic.
Yeah. Oh,
It's like a feature of the country. You're like, what? I've got loads of footage and video of it. I'm like, this is actually surprising.
You ever driven a motorbike in Bali?
I've not. No.
So like I like driving, but I'm sure we'll end up getting onto that because that's why I cycle everywhere and why I'm also moving to Australia. I like driving things quickly, and going over. I went and visited a friend in February, I think it was, in Bali, and he was like, "Oh, there's this waterfall. It's like, you know, a 45-minute drive away or whatever." And I was just like, "Right, sound. We don't have vehicles." And he's like, "Oh, it's fine. You can hire a moped up the street for like 50p a day or something."
Wow.
I'm like, "Sound, no worries." So it was like genuinely, I think I was paying more. No, it was like £6 a day or something. I was paying more a day to hire the moped than I was for the accommodation I was staying in. It was that cheap. And we're going along, like, I like driving stuff quickly, like how my ADHD and stuff works. My brain is constantly having to, like, you know, is looking way further down the road. If I'm doing 100 mile an hour, if I'm doing 70 mile an hour, the speed limit, if whatever speed I'm doing, I'm obviously looking way further ahead to compensate for
100%.
you know, especially on motorbikes,
Spatial awareness, yeah.
it's because obviously cars are out there to get you.
Yeah.
Every single person in Bali is just going as fast as they can given the amount of road space they have. And so it's just like, you know, like you are, and you're millimeters away from each other. And I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was great. Like, me and my mate are just like flying down these country roads, and then it's just like all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's no tarmac, it's just dirt, and you're like flinging around in this moped that has no tread because obviously they're not maintained very well. Like, it's like, does it switch on and go? Cool, they're going to charge you £6 a day for having it. It was good fun.
No, my brother's actually out there just now. My brother and sister-in-law, they've got farm Indonesia. She lives in, so they're there quite a lot. But yeah, what was I speaking about before that? This is going to be a wild
driving in India. Oh no, just traffic in India.
Traffic in India, yeah. But the whole, it was weird. I'd finished there. The food was okay. It wasn't bad. It was a little bit too much for me, you know, because I'd just been in fucking Scotland having fucking Buckley's and a cup of tea one morning. Next day I'm having, like, we went into this cafe restaurant. The client was paying for it, and it was all run by deaf people. So they had this system where they put the signs on the menu, so it didn't matter what language you came from, and
you could sign what it was. Oh wow.
You instantly felt like you had this connection with a community, a culture
that you'd never,
you know. No. And I was like, this is actually kind of genius. And I remembered I dated a deaf girl in school. She was fucking beautiful. I mean, like, stunning. I remember saying to the boys, I'm going to learn sign language to ask Helen out. And they're like, oh, you fuck, I learned sign language in a week, mate. She was that hot.
Did you just go like this? You're like,
no, I'm not going to do it. Honestly,
I'm pretty sure that's pretty universal. So you don't need to know Makaton to just go up to someone and be like.
But it's do you know what? That's, you know, I'm a boy. You know what I mean? Like, but that being there, and I was like, what a uniquely simple fucking way to communicate and order food and get along.
Because you'll remember it as well, because it's like, you know, if someone says, oh, this is whatever, you've got nothing tangibly to connect it to.
Yeah.
But as soon as you've ordered food with it, your brain then remembers, oh, I ate a nice macaroni cheese after. Yeah. Not that that's you got on the menu in India. But,
but no, they had.
I'd be over the moon if I saw mac and cheese.
Oh, mate. A steak brady, man. But they had this really kind of fucking nice food, but the drink they gave me, the guy's like, man, you gotta try this. You gotta try this. I was like, all right, I'll try the drink.
Was it the sugarcane water?
It was something like that. It was sort of brown that had like a cloudiness to it.
Yeah.
It was fucking bogging, and it put like a film down my. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, nah, I can't drink that, man.
On the streets, did you ever see the little like the sugarcane vendors?
Yes.
The ones that like broke up the sugarcane and literally like they pretty much got mixed straight in with the water.
Wow.
So there were these like every second. So one street corner had the guy, you know, that had like he had his foot in the food. And he'd be like, you know,
I've seen that video.
Because he was, it's everywhere.
It's with his hand and stuff.
It's,
you're like, what the fuck?
Because my mates when I was over there, my mates would send me this and be like, oh, is this what you're having for lunch? And then I'd walk out like during the day and say I was going somewhere. I would then record, what this was out on the street. and show them, and they're like, "Oh shit!" I'm like, "Yeah, those videos are.
Oh,
It's not.
they're
No,
not
they're not.
fake.
They're not scripted. Like that.
Yeah.
That is legit. Like it genuinely is." And it was like the people that live there must have like genuine. The cure for cancer is in an Indian man's stomach.
Yeah,
Like the fact whatever they're immune to. Genuinely, like that's the cure to immortality. Like
Oh,
the
mate.
like the yeah.
No, but I woke up one morning. I had a day off, so I'd done my event and that, and then I had the next day off, and then I was flying back on the. I think it was the Friday. I was flying back. So the Thursday I woke up, but the Indians they were so desperate to be like really kind and considerate and friendly, which was lovely. But they kept waking me up. I was jet lag hit me right after I gave my speech because I was excited. Did the talk. I was like, oh, I'm knackered, and it just hit me, and I was like, I need to sleep. I had a couple of beers, went to bed, and they kept fucking waking me up, phoning me up. Do you need your laundry, sir? Do you need this? I was like, no, thank you. I really appreciate it. But just fucking knocking on the door. Oh, Mr. Steve, And I was like, fucking hell. So I was getting tired and grumpy. And then I got a fucking wake-up call at 8 in the morning. Oh, your taxi's outside, Steve. I was like, oh, it must be to take me to the offices. I'm in the taxi, and 40 minutes go by, and I'm like, place is starting to look very slummy, like really bad. And I'm like, right, I'm starting to get a bit. So I'm starting to switch
Way down
on
towards like Port of Mumbai, like
Yeah.
Gate of India way. Yeah,
That's exactly where I was going.
Gate of India. So
And
the
I'm
hotel
like-
I was staying in was about 5 minutes from there.
Right. So we're coming through, and it was monsoon season, and it was pissing down, and traffic's chaos. I'm like, I'm either gonna moan and get really shit about this, or I'm just gonna let this fucking moment like take over. And I was like, excuse me, mate, where are we going? He's like, Gate of Mumbai, Gate of India. I was like, I had no idea what he was on about at the time. I was like, fuck it.
So
I came out
really
the back.
anticlimactic.
Came out of the, I know, but no, it wasn't for me. But I came out the back. I went at the front. I just started filming everything. I caught some of the most beautiful footage I've ever caught, just on my phone. And I just let myself get immersed in this situation. And when I came to the Gate of India, I was like, no way, that's out of fucking Chris Nolan films and Indiana Jones. I was like,
Which Chris Nolan film?
Tenet.
Is it in Tenet?
It's in Tenet
Yeah.
because they go to Mumbai.
I'm trying to think about the film.
It's in
Because
Tenet.
I've seen the film. The Christopher Nolan films are brilliant.
Oh, they're
So
just-
he's an absolute
just
wizard.
unbelievable. Oh, I mean, let's get into. So you're into films. He is. I mean, like there are some.
Christopher Nolan films. I'm trying to learn piano just now because of Hans Zimmer stuff in the Christopher Nolan films. Is genuinely like that was like I was like I want like even like learning the piano. Like I went to, so the school I went to, back at home.
Are you posh?
No, it's a Kunstel school.
Oh, that's my boy.
So it's a Kunstel school if you live locally, but you go there. So it's attached to it is the Scottish like traditional music school for excellence.
Oh wow.
So you'd have all these like absolute like geniuses, like musical
yeah.
prodigies and stuff like that. Like I had a girlfriend in school who played like 7 instruments and sang.
Fuck.
And that's what I'm saying. It was like the absolute best of the best in Scotland would come up and they'd go to like the school, Plockton High School, which was just like the normal school, and then also they'd like disappear off and do their music classes and stuff separately. They wouldn't go and do like they wouldn't go and learn French because they were too busy learning like the clarinet and all these.
That's
other
how it
things
should
and
be.
stuff. Yeah, actually concentrating on the things that they were good at. Or
Well,
interested
yeah,
in.
because I mean, like, I don't know about you, but like, I did really well at English at school, PE, all that shit. Bombed at maths. I'm weirdly I'm good at it now because I had to be for my job offshore, and the army made me do it.
But you had an excuse for it. You had a reason to
A
learn
reason,
it. You had
a
a need.
purpose tied to it. Yeah, but I remember being at school and they're like, "Yeah, you're getting a D," and I was like, "I don't give a fuck." But they were always trying to push people at least try and get a C, hopefully a B.
Why?
The world doesn't need B level mathematicians.
No.
It doesn't need C level historians. It needs people who are A plus above.
The best of things.
So
So
if you're going to be a clarinet player,
So it was like techie classes for me. It was like techie classes was an absolute no brainer. Like I was like the little kid in school that was like at lunch times and stuff. I'd be doing stuff in the techie thing because it was like I had no interest in football.
got an engineering mind.
So yeah, well I mean that's why I went into engineering because I was like this is what I'm good at. So it was like why,
Yeah.
So, like I've had some people be like oh like how did you like you kind of knew like I had a friend like a school friend he came to the city with me, and like we both did engineering. At the end of like first year or something like that, he was like not for me. And that was fine. He went back off, and he's now a manager of a fish farm back at home. And
He knows himself.
He knows, and he kind of he saw that I was so sure in myself that he's like, so what are you doing? I was like, I'm going to Aberdeen, best place in Scotland for engineering. I would have been like when I was growing up and stuff like that. I helped out in summers, like being like a mechanic in garages, and I was like, oh, I know how to do this. I can understand how to do this. And then I was like, I like expensive things, and mechanics, you know, no disrespect to the mechanics, but mechanics, granted, they do way more work than I probably do offshore, but they don't get paid as well as for the stuff I want to buy.
Yeah.
So I was like, right, okay, what's like a mechanic gets paid more? Engineer, perfect. Where in Aberdeen? Where in Scotland's best for engineering?
Yeah.
Aberdeen. And that was just, people were like, oh, why did you move to Aberdeen? It was just the most logical. There was no feeling behind it. There was no like, oh, Aberdeen looks like a really so it was like, oh, it's the prettiest city in Scotland. Like, no,
city of silverness.
It was just, you know, where has got the best chance for me to go and be able to get like best job, best engineering prospects and stuff like that. So I went here. I went to college because, again, I was lazy in school because I like coasted. Like I did all right. So it was like I didn't get diagnosed with my dyslexia until my third year at uni. Okay. When I started like struggling with like quantum mechanics and stuff like that, and like everyone else in the class started getting it and I didn't, and I was like, this is a new feeling for me because usually I understand all this mathy engineering stuff, and then they were like, oh yeah, you're actually like really dyslexic. They're like, but you've got like a like naturally like higher IQ, which is masked, which had masked dyslexia all the way through school. So I just kind of coasted. Like so, like my younger sister, she was like near enough a straight A student, but she worried herself to death with. Like she studied,
maintaining that
she
level.
She studied day in day out. She was so concerned about. Whereas I was just like, if I get a B, I'm happy, or if I get a pass, because I knew, you know, I failed English and I was like, I don't care. Yeah. I'm not going to do anything with English. Failed French, blah blah blah, whatever. I was like, have no intention of moving to France. So
that is the level of intelligence that we should be going.
It's nurturing the thing that you're actually good at.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's like okay. I was obviously dyslexic, which I didn't realize in school. I was just like, oh, I'm not very good at English. I just won't concentrate on it then. I'll just concentrate on what I know I'm good at. And then therefore, I'm just lucky that what I'm good at, I also enjoy. Because I get there's some people that they could be, you know, I could potentially be, you know, the next Ronaldo or whatever. I have no interest in football, so I'm never going to find out. But it's just nurturing the thing that you actually have an interest in doing. And luckily for me, it was just engineering. And so came here, did 2 years at college because I didn't do good enough in school to get to uni. Went did 1 year at uni, realised that it was making me qualified for positions I didn't want because it was all office jobs and I like being a grease monkey. Yeah. And it was like, you know, it was like, oh yeah, after this you'd be able to be like, you know, manage a team and you know,
project manager,
sit in an office. And I'm like, no, you're all right. I'd much rather be knee deep in hydraulic oil on the other side of the planet, because the people with the project engineers, they sit in the Enquest building in Aberdeen, and okay, yeah, they drive their Porsche Taycan to work, but you see them in traffic and they look like they want to shoot themselves. I don't want to be in that situation. I'd much rather be the one that is, you know, getting to stay in the nice hotels and getting to, okay, granted, sometimes you have to walk over dead people in Mumbai, but but like, you know, you take the thick with the thin.
That's
but
it, man.
It's like, you know, you don't know what you're going to get with that, whereas you do know what you're going to get if you just sit in your office job in Aberdeen. And I like the what ifs. Well, the reason I'm sitting here with you is the what if is like, oh, do you want to come to the podcast? Yeah, right.
You like the roll of the dice.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. People like, you know, I always end my friends. I have like other people. My friends will refer to other people as Andrew's. Just like, and we're like, oh, he's doing such weird stuff. People that like know me personally, they don't question. Right. They don't question anything anymore.
Because they've just figured
like
this is part of you.
So like last week, my my neighbor Will, he said to me, he's like, oh Andrew, do you want to go for a fly? And he's got his personal pilot's license.
Okay, yeah.
And I was like, I like in your plane, and he goes, yeah. I was like, fuck it, right, absolutely. And he's just like, I was like, Tuesday work for you? I was like, mate, whatever day works for me. I was like, I'll make it work. So I posted a photo on my Instagram, basically just not, I don't want to use the word mocking the authorities and stuff. Basically being like, you can take my driver's license off me, but I'll just fly a plane. Basically. Yeah. So I'd posted that.
Oh, this is good.
Posted that before we'd taken off in Perth, and then we'd then gone up and flown over Aberdeen and Port Lethen, and so there was some of my friends had gone out in the back garden and were filming me going, is that you dick? So it's like, what fucking Thunderbird shit's going on here? And then I've got video, they've sent me a video of them in their garden filming me flying over their house, and then I've got a video of me in the plane filming them going like this from their from the thing. And that was just like a Tuesday afternoon, and then like one of my mates messaged me, they'd seen the video, and they'd messaged me like 40 minutes later being like, oh, my kids are outside, can you come and do a flyover? And I'm like, I'm already halfway back up the road from Perth, because it's, as the crow flies, it was like 23 minutes or something to go from like back down to the thing, because obviously you're not having to, well, you're sitting at like 120 mile an hour, and then obviously you are just going in a straight line. Everything's, we almost, if we'd had more time, we were going to go fly over, there's an airstrip next to my school at Plockton, and we were going to fly over land have dinner with my mum, and then fly back. But we didn't have enough time. Like before, it would have been sunset and flying back because it's just a little Cessna, so it didn't have like
Very James Bond, mate.
It was yeah, it was cool.
That's
It was
a
really- it was
wicked
cool.
moment, mate.
It was
It is so. I mean, because that's that. Do you not think though that part of that we lose as adults, or it's engineered out of us, or it's marketed away from us, is we lose that playfulness.
Yeah.
And it's the art of play that actually, like, I remember when I first got into the army, all the way through school, you know, study, don't copy each other, sit separately, you know, don't look at each other. Minute I got into the army, right, just get together, boys, and figure it out. Like,
it's
the total opposite.
The cat is the I mean, and that's where that camaraderie is as well, kind of thing.
100%.
It's like, you know, anything that's not. There's not enough time in the day for me to get down into how much I dislike the education system.
Oh, it's
Like, you see, after getting out of it, and then, like, you know, when I'd like had my first limited company, and seeing, like, you know, how the system is so bent against the PAYE, you know, your average like paycheck person. Like, once that bubble's shattered for you, you can't unsee it.
Well,
And, like, I'm employed by a company just now as well, and then I also have like the other business and things. But it's like it's disgusting. And they're like, oh, they don't teach you about tax in school. No, because they want you to be in debt.
100%.
If you leave school and say, hi, could I get 20 grand as a business loan? They'll go, fuck off, not a chance.
That's right.
Hi, can I go to uni for 4 years and get 35 grand of student debt? Fucking
And you go.
fucking crack on, son, kind of thing.
course, like-
And we'll start charging you interest, not from when you finish uni, from when that first year, because I only found this out recently. So I turned 29 last month, and I'm yet to check it, but whenever I have a PAYE slip come through from an employer, I still have deductions for my student loans. And
That's
like
disgusting.
I was earning
You a guy in the rig that had that.
and I was earning pretty well in my early 20s as well, for like
Yeah.
a good couple of years before I went self-employed and stuff. So it was like, you know, I would have paid, and it was like 14 grand or something. I was like 3 years worth of 4.7 a year. But that's when I found out that they start charging, and they're like, oh, it's only like 2% interest or something. But when you finish your first year and they've given you that money, they start charging it from then. So by the time you've come to the end of your third year and you're still not in a position, because I think you have to be earning, I think it's over,
24, 26?
I think it's 20, maybe 26 now. It's
26,
20
yeah.
when I left uni. I
21, was it?
graduated in 2017, and when I had to do that, then it was 24. And like my first job, I was earning over that. So I was like, I was like, you know, the month I finished,
Yeah.
I was paying it back, and then I looked up and I'm just like, this isn't 4,700 times 3. What's the math on this? And then I worked out, and they'd been charging me the 2% interest for the 2 years after that, and then obviously the 2% interest then on the 9 grand after the second year, and so on.
It's fucking disgusting.
So yeah, I
It's
mean,
absolutely
I
disgusting.
understand from a business perspective, they have to make money back on the money. Otherwise, there's no point. And also, if they're not charging you the interest for what losing inflation, they'd actually be losing the money. I understand the economics behind it, but the fact that they wouldn't, like I said, wouldn't give you the money to start your own business because they don't want people to be self-sufficient.
No. It's so when I was in the army, the last tour I did was Iraq. I did 2 tours of Kosovo, two of Iraq, and I was in a fucking trench, and there was Scud missiles going over the top of us. It was the second day of the war, and I had Graham McEwen sat next to me. I still keep in touch every day, not every day, but I still keep in touch, you know, regularly. And I remember being on that trench, and we're getting fucking shot at. £39 a day I was on, and I was still paying council tax, and I was in Iraq.
39.
£39 a day. And that was considered high end. I think it might have been 42 with LSSA on top of it. But I remember my first job offshore. I got through
And you were making that an hour.
team recruitment. It was £127 a day.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's not a lot, which to some people might think, what? I'm like, it's not actually that a lot of money. But to me, I remember looking at it and going, all my money problems are solved.
Mm-hmm.
And then the reality kicks in. You know, you're like, hang on a minute, there's people getting fucking 700 quid a day offshore and stuff. Now I charge £1,500 a day, and I'm getting flown around. But the reality of, like, I've been having this mad discussion. So yes, I left offshore a year and a half ago. Wrote a book, did a TED talk, all that kind of stuff, and there was been this cascading events. Now I get to charge a lot of money, but now I'm learning the other side of it. It's like sometimes you have to wait 3-4 months for that money. Sometimes you have to wait a lot. But I would rather this. So I honest to God, so I don't I don't hide behind ceremony. I'm living off as the whoops right now.
Mm-hmm.
I was on $8,000 a month in Africa offshore, tax free.
Yeah, yeah.
I know the good side of life.
Mm-hmm.
Walking up here today, I'm not joking, right? I was like, there's a BMW, like fucking hybrid in every fucking driveway. There's every third house, there's a guy washing his car. There's a maple tree leaf.
I just come out through Ruberswell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, no, it's nice. That's not the life for me.
No.
That's not what I didn't go to fucking war. I didn't bust my balls offshore. I didn't raise my son to do all this stuff. To then have a car to wash, that's the same as everyone else's.
Copy, paste.
Copy, paste, right? So I'm very aware I am at the halfway point of my life now. And it's been a very beautiful, sobering thought. My dad passed away 2 years now, nearly. He passed away and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Why have I been talking about all this stuff? So I'm really excited to kind of get into this conversation. You know, you're going to Australia, you've got business and that. Where does that drive come from with you?
Honestly, I don't think anyone's worded it like that. If you were to meet my parents, and there's only, but obviously with growing up on the West Coast and then living in the city, there's only like a handful of my friends I've ever, you know, made the really long, like 3.5 hour excursion. It's not that far. Excursion back up to mum and dad's. If you were to meet my parents, you would be. You wouldn't think I was their kid. For starters, they're the most like polite, humble, like relaxed people going kind of thing. Like my dad's this like really tall, like I know he's gonna watch this, and I'm gonna say he's a tad eccentric. His parents were like really eccentric, and
Eccentric's good.
And I only found out how eccentric they were when we were having like a talk with my gran passed away a couple months ago, and she was the last grandparent, and
sorry to hear
so
that,
it was. You didn't kill her. People, it's one thing. You know, people are like, "Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that someone died." I'm like, "You didn't know them." Like, kind of thing, you know. And you know, but at the end, it was a blessing, kind of thing. Like when she died, she was 84 years old. She had
lived a life.
Do the math on this. 4 kids. We knew it was 4 kids, 8 grandkids, me being one of them, and then 8 great grandkids that she's seen all of them. So she did her bit for the population. She needed a fucking hobby, like, but she did. she did her bit for the population. So. We were then, obviously, after that, I was then speaking to Dad more because I'd never met my grandparents on his side because they'd both died. I think I was like 2 months old when his mum had died, and I never met his dad because they'd moved out to South Africa when they'd divorced in whenever that would have been the late 70s. And so speaking more about my dad's mum's side of the family, and he was like, "Oh yeah, like, you know, like your mum's kind of like the family. Some of them had spent some time in asylums and things like, because back then eccentric was lunacy.
That's right.
Could be you know these days, you know, everyone's on the spectrum and everyone can get a nice little label and it's fine.
Neurospicy.
Neurospicy, non-neurotypical. And I've had more often than not, it takes less than 5 minutes of a conversation with me before someone's like, "So what was it like growing up with ADHD?" I'm just like, "Oh, it's not that obvious." I had one girl that I work with. I won't name her, but if she watches this, she'll know the exact interaction we had. And I had been told to go up and speak to the girl she was like the business development like coordinator for the company. I didn't know her name. I just went and I sat down next to her desk, and her like computer was open and it was like emails that she'd been sending. And just how my brain just takes in information as it goes past, it had seen the name receipt on the email. So then I knew her name was Taylor. Further than that, but her name was Taylor. And I sat down, I was like, I'm guessing you're Taylor, yeah? And she goes, "Yeah, I am." And she goes, "How did you know my name was Taylor?" Because she obviously didn't know who I was because I was part of the offshore team and she was obviously part of the office team. And I was like, "Oh, I'm guessing that's your name there. I'm guessing you wouldn't reply to an email with someone else's name." She goes, "Yeah." She goes, "You don't look that autistic." And I went, and I was like, And basically she was like, "That's a really autistic." I was like, "Yeah, I know that." And it was just what I found so funny was how brazenly she could obviously tell I wasn't going to take it negatively. That she was just like, "That's really autistic." I was like, "Yeah, okay, fair enough." So it was like literally first sentence, I was like, I've outed myself. I outed myself in my neurodivergence. So, train of thought's gone now. I
was asking you where that drive comes from.
Oh yes, the drive comes. So mum and dad. So dad works offshore as a captain on the ships. Has done his whole life. Again, one of these people that's like, autism didn't exist when I was younger, and I was like, you've done the same thing your entire life. Like, you know, you've done like
habit.
Habit, like kind of thing.
Routine.
He's retiring. He is retiring this year. Credit where it's due. mum's gonna kill him. I don't know. Just like they love each other to bits. They've been married 30 years
He
last
comes
year.
home and fucks up her routine.
And it's this beautiful cycle of he comes home. There's the first week of, oh, we've missed each other. We haven't seen each other in 4 weeks. Then there's the middle 2 weeks of like happy married complacency.
Yeah.
And then the fourth week is when the fuck are you going away? And then there's
it kind of works though.
and it's a fact. It genuinely is. The two of them have both said humorously and non-humorously the reason that their marriage has lasted 30 years is because it's either the shortest 30-year marriage or longest 15-year marriage that you've ever had, because they've only seen each other half the time. So it's like, and they've been able to miss each other, spend time with each other, plan holidays because they haven't seen each other, and so on and so forth. And every time that a parent ever got called
like
to school,
courting every time again.
Yeah, it's just this constant circle, and it's nice. And like there was a flip side too. Obviously, it meant that like half of my childhood I didn't see my dad, but the half when he was home, it's a phrase that one of my friends said this to me, that I had friends who their dads worked in the fish farms and stuff locally, and they would see them every night, but they would pass comment on the fact that I got more quality time with my dad because I got the best of him. They got the rest of him. When their dad had come home from dinner night.
That's a really good saying.
Yeah, and it was one of my mates had said to, and I was like, I never saw it like that because I only knew my childhood. I only ever knew, oh, Dad's gonna be home for your birthday this year. Dad's gonna be away for Christmas this year, and because the cycle that he was with one company for like 15 years, the Northern Lighthouse Board. And it was 4 weeks on, off religiously. So if you were home for one Christmas, you weren't for the next. And it was just this perfectly even cycle. Mum could book a holiday. Mum's a control freak. In the most loving way. Anyway, like family holidays, like, you know, always went to plan. Everything works like clockwork kind of thing. And Dad said that the reason that like we had such a good lifestyle was because Dad made a good living. Dad still does make a good living. But for every pound he made, Mum would get £5 of value. That's how he worded it. That he would basically he was like, I'll go make the money, and he goes, I'm an irresponsible child, and he would hand it all to Mum, and then he'd get told, okay, we're gonna get to the airport on this day, and Dad's just like that. He just kind of comes like, a fucking clue where we're going, and Dad just shows up,
cute,
and he goes, I'm just happy to be here because he knows Mum has organised everything down to the letter. So
that's really cute.
So the drive from them, Dad's just had this steady meticulous, and I was able to see the life that he was able to give for. So I've got a younger sister, Mary. I'm trying to work what time of the year is. 26. She'll be 27 this year, and she's got two girls, my two nieces, and then my younger brother John is 20. Still lives at home. He's a welder in one of the shipping yards at home. Well, Kishorn, you would have gone right past Kishorn when you cycled the NC. So works in there. There's a big dry dock there where they used to build rigs, and they're now decommissioning rigs. So he works down there. And I saw the standard of life that Mum and Dad were able to give us growing up. I didn't appreciate how good my childhood was. And it's horrible to say, but it is a contrast thing. That when I moved to the city and I became friends with people who hadn't had as nice a childhood, and I was speaking away, and they were like, blah, 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 like, oh yeah, this happened, and that, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, and it was like, you know, I'm like, that was their reality. And then like, now as an adult, whenever I go home, I'll like sit in my parents' living room, and like their living room looks out onto the Coollands on Skye.
Wow.
And it's like, I'll sit there, and I'll just turn around, and I'll just be like, thanks for my childhood, kind of thing. But I'll vocally say it, and that's one thing I can say to like anyone that's, you know, if any of my friends will watch this, tell your parents thanks. If your parents beat you as a kid, stab them. But you know, but like, you know, if your parents gave you a good childhood, vocally, like regardless of how much you think it, say it to them. Like, because I mean, like I cannot thank my mum and dad enough for the childhood that I had, and there's absolutely nothing I can do. I buy my mum the same pair of slippers every Christmas. Like that's all I can buy her, because she
wants for nothing.
She hates pointless presents.
Yeah.
Like she needs nothing. She wants nothing, and she will be actively annoyed if you got her something. So it's like my niece's birthdays will come up. Our family's like really pragmatic with this. My brother turned 20. I messaged him, "Do you need anything?" He was like, "Nah, I'm good. I don't need anything." Cool. I won't get him anything then.
Yeah. I like that.
Just a waste of money. And then the same. It was like my birthday last month. I got a happy birthday from everyone. But do you need anything? No. Right. Sound okay. Well, there's no point any of us spending the money on each other if no one needs anything. We're all in very grateful, lucky positions. that if we need something, we'll just go and buy it.
Yeah.
So there's no need to just be like, oh, just buy something for the sake of like, oh, look what my mum and dad bought me, and being able to post on Instagram. It's just the way. My nieces are the same. I said to my sister, like when my first niece turned 1, do they need anything? Mm-hmm. And I know my mum and dad, like they're not going to need anything, kind of thing that they won't have already got, and they're like, no, and I'm like, right, cool. I was like, what I'll do is I'll open a bank account and I'll just start putting money in there.
Yeah,
and,
that's good.
And then it means that when the two of them, when they turn 18 or something like that, say it's only a couple of £100 a year that I put in there, but that over 18 years kind of thing, they could go and buy their first. I mean, granted, obviously, depends. The situation, World War III might all be dead by then, but
we're gonna have to come back to that.
Yeah. Well, like, they could actually then put that to use. They could either put it toward a house deposit, or they buy their first car with it, or something like that. Instead of it just being like, oh, I'm gonna buy them a pink Barbie doll for their 5th birthday, is gonna get pissed around with, and then one of the dogs is gonna chew up. Like, it's just, there's just no need to spending the money unnecessarily. So that lifestyle that I saw Dad being able to give us all, from sacrificing half of the time, missing half of our lives, which again I vocally say to him, right, I surprised him on Father's Day. His ship just came into port there in Aberdeen, and I went down, managed to flirt my way past security, having the same surname as the captain helped, because I was like, hi, I'm the captain of this boat. They look at the roster, and then like, I'm going to show his ID, and obviously surname's Dinan, and probably look at me going, he's quite a young captain, but they're like, yeah, no problem, so let me. And I got to the boat, and they were just moving berth, and they'd just taken their gangway up. So I'm standing on the quay side, and I phoned Dad. I'm like, all right, Dad, how you getting on? Whereabouts are you? He's like, we're just at Mearns Quay. We're just waiting to move around to Blakey's. And I'm like, yeah, fancy getting one of the ABs to go stick a gangway out. And he goes, why? And I was like, go come to the window. So he came to the window of the bridge, and he looks down, and he sees me, and he goes, oh, fuck's sake. And I was like, surprise. So I saw him, and like I said that to him, that I want him to always know how grateful me and, well, I've not specifically asked Mum, but I'm sure if I was to ask her, she would. But like, I know with me, my brother and sister, that we are very conscious he gave up half of his life for us to have the standard life we had, which I think a lot of people that, if they've had parents, because again, especially in Aberdeen, that's just the industry. Yeah. So many people do just work offshore, and I think, like, before I'd done it myself as well, and then the first couple of years I did it, you realise, like, oh, you're missing birthdays, you're missing weddings, you're missing, and you in the army even more so than anything else. People, I mean, and then you come back, and people go like, oh, you missed this, and it's like, they had a funish time at an event, but like, they get to see all these things, whereas like you don't. There's a certain level of people like, oh, offshore workers make loads of money. It's relative, because you only have half the year to spend your money. So it's like you may make a better than average wage, but then also your lifestyle seems way better, because it's like, when I was 23, I had a Maserati. Yeah. Love the car. I had this envision plan. I had this envision plan when I left uni. I was like, right, by the time I'm 30, I'm going to own my house, and I'm going to have had a supercar. 23, I'd had a really good paying job from when I was 21. I'd got moved over. I was staying in Sweden for 18 months on a work contract, making really good money for my age. I didn't have barely had an address in Aberdeen. Like, I was just like sofa surfing when I was back and stuff like that. Put money aside, bought the house that I still have in Portlethen, and but the absolute mum. So Mum's always been very money savvy, and she basically said she'd kill me if I went and bought a fast car before I bought my house. So I put the minimum deposit I could down. Back then you could get a 5% deposit back then, right, yeah. And I paid $100,000 for my place. So I put down a $5,000 deposit. Got paid 1 month, and I was like, cool, right, that's it, down in the house, perfect. And then it was 3 months. It was the woman who bought the house off had died 6 days before I put the offer in. So there was a whole court faff and stuff to get put into her son's name, that I could then buy the house off him. Okay. So he said, he goes, look, I'll accept the offer of $100,000. He goes, but I need you to be very conscious. You're probably not going to get into the house for like 3 months. I was like, that's fine. I was like, I'm away back to Sweden to work. I'm not coming back until like the middle of September. Yeah. And he goes, okay. He goes, it might be the end of September. He goes, but I can give you a set of keys, because there was no one living in the house anyway. So he's like, I'll give you a set of keys even if you don't officially have it. So I went, like, I parked my other car. I had a little Mazda MX. I still have one. It's hot pink. Love that car. Nice. And I had another MX-5 at the time. He said, look, you can stick that in the garage. You can put all your furniture and everything in the house. He goes, but obviously I can't have you living in the house. So that's fine. I'm fucking off back to Sweden anyway. Went back over. I knew I was moving back. My flight was booked. It was the 11th of September. Yeah. I was due to get the keys on the 13th of September. I saw this Gran Turismo. I'd been shopping around for a few cars. I wasn't initially looking at the Maserati. I was looking between a Gen 1 R8, 2008 R8, a GTR, or an Aston Martin Vantage.
GTR, man.
Kind of thing. I was like, I budgeted myself. I was like, right, less than 30 grand, and you can get a lot of car for under 30 grand.
Yeah.
But the GTRs, it was like, they say if you buy a pre 2012 one,
Yeah.
have another 10, 15 grand sitting ready for when the gearbox blows, and you have to get Litchfield to rebuild the bell house and everything like that. So I was like, right, sound. I'm not buying a car that is going to cost half as much again to fix if anything goes
fuck
wrong.
that.
The R8, my friend had an RS5, and I was like, I don't really want to go and buy an R8 that is a supercar.
Yeah.
Of its time, yes, but it was like then my friend had a newer RS5 that would have kicked the arse out of it. So it was like, no point doing that. And the Vantage, there was just so many issues that you had with the engines and stuff.
Oh, really?
And the end, because they're built by Aston. It's
Yeah.
not like, so like the Maserati had an F430 Ferrari engine.
Okay.
So it's all Ferrari parts, and so parts are really easy to get, and a lot more people will work on them. Like all
Okay.
whereas like the Aston Martin dealerships, like the Aston Martin engines, only really Aston would work
Very
on them. A lot of
specific.
garages would be like, oh, like don't want to touch that
Yeah.
because it was just niche to that one. It's like all your McLarens are Merc engines.
Yeah.
And so, well, not the newer ones and stuff like that, but it's like your older ones and stuff, or like your Paganis and things like that were all Merc engines. So like there's these like the higher end brands, but it's a German engine in it,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
they're
yeah.
not so concerned about working on them. So I was like, right, okay. So I went on Auto Trader, maximum 30 grand, minimum 400 horsepower, blah 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 blah. I was like, I would just see what comes up, and there was hundreds of these Gran Turismos came up. And I looked and I was like, nice interior, noisy, nice Ferrari engine, parts are ready, available. Because I did all the work to the car myself anyway, apart from a timing chain job. And so I was like, okay, so I'll go for that. And I found this one example, black with a red leather interior, from a Ferrari garage down in Loughborough. Flew back on the 11th September, picked up the car on the 12th, was driving up from Loughborough, so like just north of Birmingham, I think it is. And so I'd had the car 6 hours. I'd had the car 6 hours, and I was just coming up past Ecclefechan. So it's
Of all the places.
yeah. So literally just past the Scottish border.
Aye.
So it was just in Scotland where
yeah,
I
yeah.
had been done for speeding before. Well, obviously, because I would have been a first-time offender in
Yeah.
England, whereas that was repeat offender in Scotland by this point. I was 23 at the time, and I see this grill of an X5. I'm just like sitting there like going along, and I see this like grill of an X5, and the motorway's empty. There's no one going about. 6:30, 7 in the evening, and I look and I'm like, fucking hell, that X5's right up my arse. And I'm in the left lane, and I'm just going along. I'm just kind of like slouched in the seat, been driving for 6 hours, I'm just wanting to get to Aberdeen. I know I've still got like another 3 hours, like 3.5 hours. I look at the wing mirror, and I see that it's a fully chevroned X5 traffic car. And I'm like, why the fuck are they on my arse? And then I look at the speedo, 106 miles an hour.
Nice.
But I was just cruising.
cruising.
I was just cruising.
You don't feel it.
And I didn't have the cruise control on. I just had my foot on the throttle, and it was like I think it was a 6-speed, and it was an auto, and it was just idling.
Yeah.
Because the car would do 180, so it was just it was going along, and I saw speed, and I kind of sat up in my seat and went,
Oh,
fuck. And I just put the indicator. They never put the blues on. They put the blues on once we pulled over, but I just indicated. Pulled over the hard shoulder. And I'm like, right.
That was probably the first smart thing you did.
And yeah, and key off, right, cool, went, and I just, and I sat in the back, and I just sighed, and he goes, do you? And I was like, yeah, and I was like, let's not do the whole, let's not run through the script. You got me. And he goes, we've been following you for 1.5 miles. He goes, you came past, we were setting up on a slip road.
Yeah.
You came past, we've come behind you. You've obviously taken a minute to notice us, and then you pulled in. And I was like, yeah. He goes, do you know what speed you were doing? I was like, in excess of the speed limit. They were following me.
Yeah, not going to admit it.
But I'm still not just going to hand
Fuck
it
it,
out.
right, yeah.
And he goes, we have you on the gun at 103. Is what they'd gunned me going past. And then they then followed me, and I was sitting like 105, 106.
Yeah.
So he said, look, he goes, why were you going that quick? And I was like, do you want the God's honest answer? And I was like, the car was just cruising.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not used to the car kind of thing. And he goes, oh, how long have you had it? And I look at my watch and I go, about 6 hours. And the guy, the copper, actively is like, oh, mate. And I'm like, oh, yeah, because he was gutted for me.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, because he was just like, I'm booking him. Because he was 100% booking me. And he goes, look, right. He goes, you seem like a reasonable lad. Like I hadn't got in the car and be like, fuck you kind of thing. I knew I'd been caught speeding. So I was like, right, okay. So I just said, I was like, yeah, right, you've got me. And he goes, right, you seem like a reasonable enough lad. yeah, you were going fast. He goes, you weren't racing anyone. There's no one else. There's no one else on the road. Conditions are clear. Visibility's good. You know, you weren't braking harsh. You weren't anything. You were just going fast. And he goes, and I will stipulate you were going fast in a car built for going fast. You were in a car of capable speed.
Yeah.
He goes, if you were doing 105 in a Corsa or something,
Yeah,
and the wheels like coming
Yeah.
off in your hand or something, he goes, that might be in a different story. He goes, I'll put this all in the police report. He was like, that's you on your way. He goes, it will be a court matter. He goes, you know, I said, what am I looking at? And he goes, honestly, he goes, over 100 mile an hour in Scotland. He goes, you're probably looking at a year ban. He goes, you know, that should be over 100 mile an hour generally in Scotland is an instant ban. So I'm thinking, fuck, I've had this car 6 hours, and then that's me going to be like, you know, the court might be in 2 months or something. But I'm getting banned.
And you're 21, 22?
I was 23 at the time.
23.
I was 23 at the time. So I was like, you know, they're just going to see a young guy, nice car, throw the book at me. So I get up the road. I get the keys to the house the next day. So then obviously in the street, everyone thinks, oh, this fucking little arsehole 23-year-old just moved into the street with this Maserati into the street. And I speak to my neighbours across the road, who, Stuart and Jennifer, lovely older couple. Jenny's magistrate. Very convenient. Very, very helpful.
Insider secret.
Oh, very helpful. I kept my license. I didn't get banned. I didn't get banned.
Good neighbours.
And Stuart, who, bless him, he's gone blind now, but he was into his motorbikes and stuff like that. And in the 6 years that I've stayed there, he's lost his vision and stuff like that. And Jenny still takes him out. They've got a 74 Spitfire that they go out in, so it's the closest thing he can be to, like, you know, still going out in the motorbikes and get the wind on his scalp.
Wow.
So I move in, and from being from the countryside, introduce myself to my neighbours. I know it's not a city thing to do, and you know you can live in a city.
I'm fair up there, you know, I'm Banff. I still say hello to people on the street,
and it confuses people.
Yeah,
like people, it baffles them. So it's like the first flat I got in town in Aberdeen, I introduced myself to neighbours, and the people who'd lived below me were elderly neighbours, and I just went down. I was just, hi, like, you know, I'm Andrew. I've just moved upstairs with my friend, kind of thing. Like, you know, we're not noisy people, but like, you know, if we've had people round and, you know, we're being a bit loud or something like that, just let us know. And they were kind of like,
yeah, what the fuck's this about?
Yeah, they kind
What's
of
this politeness?
They were almost just like thinking it's a double negative. Like, I was away to be a rowdy little cunt, and I was almost, you know, pre-warning them. Oh yeah, it'll be fine, kind of thing. And obviously I was there for 2 years. They never once came to the door with anything. And
It's weird
but they said it was nice that I'd actually introduced myself, because it's not, because like what I consider a neighbour at home lives 6 miles up the road from mum and dad.
Yeah.
Because countryside postcodes, that's my neighbour. Because it's like my next closest friend that was my age, he lives 2 miles up the road, but he's still my neighbour. Whereas like here, someone who's 2 doors down from you, oh, they're not your neighbour.
No.
Your house isn't attached to their house, so you're not. And it's that, to me, that's it's as foreign as you make it. So it's like people who live at the end of my street. I'm like, oh, they're my neighbour. They're thereabouts in my postcode. That's a neighbour. It's like, or I'd say someone that still lives in Portlethen, they're near enough my neighbour as far as countryside terms go.
I think there's a weird thing that people do, like when they move to somewhere or they engage in a different activity, they try to blend in so that they can survive that new kind of environment. I think that's okay for a little bit, but if you start losing yourself, if you start losing your pieces of what make you, you just get lost in the kind of abyss as everyone else. But if you know, this is who I am, I say hello to my neighbours.
Because
I go out of my way.
What you were used to.
And I think that there's a, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, like there's an honesty to that. That's not the right word. There's a conviction to it.
Yeah.
There's a conviction.
Staying true to yourself.
Staying true to yourself. Going back to the car and getting pulled over. I remember when I came out of the army, it was tumultuous, man. It was it was just a calamity of events.
Trying to get back on Civvy Street.
Mate, honestly, I was walking around with PTSD, depression, suicide. You know, I'd attempted it a few times.
It's a hell of a cocktail,
mate. Honestly, and by the time I got out, and the dust should have settled. I was driving the gritters for Bear Scotland. That was my first job, and I remember driving. I was like, "What the fuck am I doing?"
Like, driving past cars, going, "I could wipe you out."
No, but like
you know, just
it's like 6 months ago. I was like, you know, like I was training boys, you know, night navigation and fucking, you know, and all this stuff, and now I'm fucking driving a gritter back home. I'm like, this is weird. And then things started to pour out. But I'd had a mad series of events where I was drinking a lot, fighting a lot, getting fucking locked up at the weekends and stuff, and like I couldn't quite catch my pace. I was like, this thing is beating me. This is gonna end me. And I was best man at a wedding. I'd been on 4 tours with this guy. We're still best mates to this day. We still laugh at this. I ended up in a hotel with 7 police officers, macing me, beating me up because I'd lost. War just it cracked. It cracked. I just fell apart, and I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. I've tried to kill myself. This is not working. I'll get them to do it for me. I was like, I will push them to the point where they put a bullet in me. It seemed like a solid plan until I heard, "Get the dogs." I was like, I'm not hitting a dog. I'm not hurting a dog.
No.
I love dogs. I'm a dog guy. No, I just put my hands up. I was like, yeah, take me. And I remember them looking at me and they just maced me, and they were like, what the fuck? So, woke up the next day. I was like, I'm going down. I am going down for this. My son was 3 months old. I'm like, what have I done? Is this the price I'm having to pay? So anyway, they gave pity on me, and I was so grateful. That day, I quit drinking. I took a 10-year hiatus. I wasn't an alcoholic. I wasn't in the frame of mind to be drinking. So I was like, that kid comes first.
It's a downer.
100%.
It's
Total 100%.
That's why the government's fine with everyone drinking it, because it keeps
you spacified and
keeps everyone stupid.
Unhappy. Yeah. Now, that next day, drove home from Durham, and I took a total different way of life. I was like, fuck this. I'm gonna go and figure things out. Went offshore, 15 years, raised my son, and just last year he's like, Dad, I've never seen you drunk. I was like, there's a reason for that. I was like, I put you first. Also, your dad was a bit of a nutter.
My mum's. I've never seen my mum drunk.
It's mad, right?
Not because she's a head case, just because she just doesn't let me. We've had some cousins and stuff that have asked me. So it's like my mum's like she was like the level of like her siblings. Yeah. She was always the level head one, like just an absolute straight and narrow.
There has to be one.
Yeah, I'm not that one.
No, I'm not that
one. Out of us three, that's definitely my sister.
Well, I got so things were good. So about 3 or 4 years had gone by. No, it's actually about 4 years ago by. Everything's quiet. I'm this boring dad, goes to work, comes home, changes nappies. There's no drama in my life. Driving home, I come past Turriff. I'm coming the old back road to Foggy, to Abershire to Foggy. Woo! I'm like, what the fuck? Fucking look at the map. 35 mile an hour. That's a fucking 50 mile an hour zone. I'm in the good. Pulls me over. So I'll just play cool, But my heart's beating 10 of the dozen because of my fucking who I was right in my life. I'm like, no, I've not been fighting. No, I've not been racking. I've not done anything.
Your brain starts going. You're incriminating yourself. And it's like, what is it I have done?
Sweat. I'm like, get yourself together, Steve. Puts the window down, keys off, and he's like, yeah, afternoon, sir. I was like, morning, afternoon, officer. He says, do you know why I pulled you over? I was like, I actually don't. I says, I'm pretty sure I wasn't speeding. No, you've actually got a brake light out. I was like, oh, fucking hell. I says, I'll go and get it fixed now. He says, look, I appreciate that. We're going to have to run you through the system. No bother at all. So to this day, I've got a clean license, right? Not a point on it.
Touch that table. If you're trust me, if you're near me, touch that table. I am a bad omen when it comes to driver's licenses.
Trust me, mate. I'm all omened out. So I get at the back of the car. We get chatting. Now, Iraq and Afghanistan were still fucking hot in the fucking news. So the conversation switched on. Oh, you served? And he's turned around. He's like, oh, mate, respect, honour, mate. We've got so much time for you boys. Appreciate that, lads. Appreciate it. Just do my job, whatever, and all that shit.
Yeah. Play it cool.
So we're having this bit of banter. Oh, I'm fucking working in town. Oh, it's good guy, the kid, he's just fucking coming up 3. Oh, when they get the good age, it's the best age. Yeah, wanted in connection with history. Resisting arrest in Durham. Still out for fucking warrant out for his arrest. It was a mistake. And they just start reeling this rap sheet off, and the guy turns around like that. I'm like, shit. And he's like,
you've just built up this rapport with him, so you're like, thank fuck for that.
And he's like, someone you want to tell us, mate? I was like, I don't know what else to say, boys. It's an old life. And they're like, yeah, mate, you're coming with us. I was like, I'm on my way home, boys. He's like, not tonight, you're not, mate. I got arrested for a brake light, put in the fucking cells once again. And I'm like, can I get away from this fucking... I've tried so hard to kind of build this really good life. So yeah, mate, I've got experience of getting pulled over.
I had so the speed, so I got off I got off with that time. I didn't get off with it. I got 4 points. 4 points for the 105 because my new best friend Jenny, who lived across the road, I obviously said to her when I moved in and I'd introduced myself and stuff, and she's like, "Oh, I'm an occupational therapist, I'm a magistrate and stuff, blah blah blah." I was like, "Funny that." I was like, "I'm actually just away probably to go to court for this," and she was just like, "See when the paperwork comes through." She was like, "Come over and see me." I'm like her adopted grandson. I love Jenny to bits kind of thing, and she. So she basically said, she's like, "Right, okay," she's like, "Don't give the boohoo you story. No one gives a fuck about you in the courts. It's that I shouldn't have done this. I was, putting other people in. There was no one else on the road, but I was putting other people in danger. Blah blah blah. It's the care about everyone else. Don't boohoo you. If you're like, oh, I'm gonna lose my job, they're like, good. Like they're more likely to book you for that. So I was like, right. So I got off. I got 4 points. 4 points for that. Had a relatively uneventful 9 months after that ish kind of thing. Still had some time working in Sweden and things, which kind of helped break up the not getting stopped for speeding. I got stopped for speeding in Sweden, but I didn't have any ID on me. So he said he's like, "You're not worth the paperwork." He said, "So I could do you for not having an ID on you," and I was like, "Are you gonna?" And he was like, "Nah, it's not worth the paperwork."
Not worth it.
So he just said,
much better
"He's like, is that
attitude.
higher?" He's like, "Is that?" It was a Tesla. It was fast. It was a fast car. It was a Model S, and he said, "Has it got cruise control?" And I was like, "Yeah, it drives itself." And he goes, "Well, set it in self-driving mode and set it at the speed limit." Leave it. I was like, "Oh, thank you so much."
That's pretty cool that you let it away.
Yeah, wait, because that's the thing. If I'd been Swedish, he would have done me because so every Swedish person has, like, we have our national insurance number, so they have like a Swedish security number.
Yeah.
And if you don't have ID on you, they can still look you up and say, like, your bank accounts and everything are attached to this. So it's like, say if you go into a shop, you don't have, like, Sweden, they're going back to becoming more of a cash society, but back then they were a completely cashless society.
Yeah, okay.
And if you went in, you didn't even have to have a card on you. If you were just in a place, you would just type in your personal number. And then it was connected to your bank account, and you could just pay for stuff like that.
I mean, that's convenient, but that's kind of terrifying.
It's terrifying, but also it meant that, so like hotels, restaurants, everything like that, they were all cashless, so that no one got robbed. You can't go in and rob a shop if there's nothing to rob.
It's like China right now. You can't buy anything with cash anymore.
No, good thing. But Sweden's going back to cash. So that was 2000. Over COVID. It was over COVID.
Okay.
I was over there. I dodged the whole COVID bullshit over here. Thankfully, mum and dad and that, they dodged it as well at home because, like, there was no one really to police it.
Yeah.
But like, I came back here once. It would have been the summer of 2020, I think it would have been. And I came back, and it was around when I got banned the first time.
Yeah.
And came back. I had got back to Portlethe, and I was meant to be on my 2-week quarantine.
Okay.
Absolute load of bollocks. All the track and trace stuff. When I was doing security, when I came back as well, like all the track and trace stuff, just a load of shit. There was nothing enforced. We'd have customers who I knew had been in the casino one night. They'd be like, "Oh, I'm off with COVID." No one that had track and trace that day got a notification. It was a heap of shit. It was just the government. It was just the government just tracking where everyone went. That's me. Sorry to say, I've got a tinfoil hat here. No, just go and get into the conspiracies.
Look, I've lived through conspiracies, mate. I remember in Iraq, because I'm from around here. I grew up with oil and fish, right, and farming, and so I knew things like Halliburton and like big names. I remember the day after the war finished, because right after the war, there's an actual shift over. The war is over. We're now in peacekeeping. It's the same shit's happening.
Yeah.
But there is a tempo shift, right? The day after, I think I saw 100 Halliburton trucks drive through our location. I was like, motherfuckers. I know.
Yeah.
And I remember we went on a patrol once, and when we came back, there was information from our patrol that was on Sky. Was it CNN or Sky News in the tent? I think it was Sky News. And I was like, that didn't happen. That's not what's happening. And you're like,
no, but you're on the other side of it.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm never watching the news again. Pile of shit. It's all bollocks.
It's just, again, that's why I don't watch it. I mean, okay, granted, I'm sure all these countries are bombing each other, and that's a crying shame, but it's not being dropped on my house. So I'm kind of like, I'm sitting there in Portlethe and like, oh, it's a shame that, but like, I'm not.
I think it's nice to have that. Look,
there's so many people that ruin their own days over stuff that has absolutely fuck all to do with them.
100%. And honest to God, right? I'm all about love thy neighbour. I fucking am. I really am. And I like that you said that.
They're not my neighbour.
No, but the thing is, though, right?
My neighbour's house isn't getting bombed.
But you're right. The people, do you know that they're doing this? Do you know what? It's fucking awful. Now, if you're really that bothered, why don't you get your hard-earned money, fuck off in a plane, and go do something about it? Don't tell me. Just go and do it. It's like those fuckers that film themselves giving people money on the street. Stop fucking filming it. Just do the nice thing.
My granddad, so it's like, you're eating dinner. You're at your grandparents' house, and you're eating dinner. And I was a fussy little bastard as a kid.
Right.
Oh, like, honestly, I'd go to mum, and I'd be like, what's for dinner? If you ask Gran, it was corned beef and cabbage. It was never corned beef and cabbage, but that's what you got told. And mum would be like, oh, we're having mince and ties. Fuck it, I don't know what I hate it. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it was. Mince and ties. I grew up in a fucking crofting family. Like my sister has every animal under the sun. Mince and ties has just never been a thing for me. And so mum would be like, "Oh, we're having mince and ties for dinner," and I'd be like, "What am I?"
Look at it, mum.
And I just go, "What am I having?" And that's genuinely the words that I was a little bastard as a kid.
You the prodigal son.
And I'd say that to my granddad if it was like we're eating food and I wouldn't finish it. My granddad would be like, "There's children in Africa starving," and I'd turn around and be like, "Well, fucking send it to them then." It's just like, it's like true. Fucking freeze it and send it. Like which is a shame. It's not that it's not happening, but it's just like, as a kid here, that you're just like, it's not affecting me. Like,
this is an interesting kind of segue. This because there's a couple of things I want to kind of like open up here if we get into it, but there is I don't look at my life really anymore as in like years upon years. I tend to look at my life as seasons, right? Now, I read this thing years ago. That 10 years I wasn't drinking. I was doing a lot of fucking reading. But I'm in the afternoon of my life. I'm not in the morning anymore. I'm not in the evening yet, but I am in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And I'm like, right, okay. I've spent the first half of my life in service. Served my country. Served my fucking, the people around me. And then I went offshore and served, providing energy, to the whole country. Bust my fucking balls for 15, 16 years in this industry. And I'm like, I'm not really getting what I want out of this. I'm not quite
You're a number.
rich. I am.
Because people are like, oh, my company loves me.
Do they fuck?
Not a fucking...
And it's not their job to love you.
And I learned that, I thankfully learned that in my early 20s.
100%.
And the second, I left, so it was a company, I'm not going to name them, I did a whole... Looking back on it, it was childish, but it felt good to do at the time. It was like the whole Facebook...
That's all right. It's all right.
Give up. The whole... Like
Facebook, save, by the way.
Facebook spiel, the whole like bad man. Like I'd worked for the company. The company's fantastic. The guys, I'm not going to name the company. Anyone that watches the video, they'll know the good eggs will know the good eggs.
Let's not get caught for speeding today.
The bad eggs will know the bad eggs.
Yeah.
And I met guys there who I'm still friends with to this day. Like some of my best friends and stuff like that. Working away with them in different countries was brilliant. And then came back to the workshop, and the workshop mentality and stuff was just a fucking snake nest.
Yeah, it's bad, isn't it?
And I have never been one for not being opinionated. So, and the managers really didn't like that because I'd be like, right, okay, so you guys are saying A, B, and C. I was like, but you're also breaching contract on this one, this one, this one, this one. And they'd be like, you keep your fucking mouth shut. And I'd be like, I think you should amend that, or I'm going to make everyone in the workshop aware of this. And then I made everyone in the workshop aware of it. And which is the thing, because I wasn't sitting there blackmailing them. I was basically just telling them what I was going to do. There was no ransom.
You were the one in the right.
There was, and they hated it. They hate the one in the right.
If you do everything... Listen, they
couldn't touch me, and it infuriated them. So the manager, I did leave, like officially I did leave, but it was like a constructive dismissal. I left, and the second that I left that, I went from best part of 70 grand a year at the age of what would I have been 24 at the time, to I went back and was happy working for £12 an hour doing security on the doors. Because I realised that being miserable in the job, I was putting a price on my happiness. And don't get me wrong, don't get me wrong. I had the fucking Maserati in the driveway. I'd bought a house when I was 23.
Let's get into this, because this is really powerful.
I was having a really, on face value, I was the fucking, I thought as much, in your early 20s, you're doing all the things that you see society want you to do. I did it all. But like I had this plan that I wanted to do this all by the time I was 30.
Okay.
And then I was 24. I'd had the Maserati. At this point, I'd had a 700 horsepower S6 as well. Like nice. I'd done all the things like that you think you want to do, and then I had them, and I was like, what now? And it was just I just had this like 6 months to a year void of just what the fuck am I doing? Because I ticked all the boxes, and then after that it was actually Jimmy Carr, who I'd read
fucking love.
And it's not even his funny stuff.
No.
It's his philosophical stuff.
philosophical stuff.
Is,
mate, I tell you, right?
So much deeper.
Let's get into this a little bit, because this is something, there's a couple of things here I'm going to touch on, so I'm going to say them before they lose. It's, me and you are quite, I think me and you are quite similar in how we see things a little bit. We come from slightly different but similar backgrounds. So you don't know this about me, but I grew up phenomenally poor. I mean, like, I was having to steal food.
Okay.
Right? I love my childhood. There's not an ounce
Character,
of self...
character
mate,
development.
strong as fuck. I was well suited in the army. I breezed joining the army.
It's survival instincts.
Oh, honestly, right?
World War III will do you well. You'll be.
Oh, mate. So
I've been whinging to my dad because he's given up the gun license because he says it's like for the pest control in the farm. He goes, it's not enough of a justification for him keeping it as retirement. I'm like, Dad, but you see, when it goes to full apocalypse, I need those guns.
so there is 5 million veterans in the UK, and there is an underbelly current of conversation that nobody knows about. Every one of us are like waiting orders.
Just jet.
We don't want to.
No.
We want to live a quiet, nice little, boring life.
But you just have to flick that switch.
But
and
if
it's
it's game on, it's fucking game on.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want that life.
No.
Right? Now,
But if it's the reality,
if it's
the reality,
No.
you're like, you've got a kid.
yeah,
Everyone else is suddenly an enemy.
I personally don't think that we're going to get there ourselves. What I more likely see happening is civil war in the next 15 years, because things are fucking insane. But before we get into that, there's your attitude, your mindset. I find really refreshing. So I worked my whole life for companies, and back in the day, my dad was on like fucking 70, 80, 90, 100 grand a year as tool pusher. And he's like, go and buy a house. And I'm like, yeah, Dad, I haven't got fucking a spare 40 grand down payment anymore, or the 20 grand, because I've raised a family. I've put all my fucking stuff into it. I had the Jeeps, the houses, horses, all that shit. And I'm like, this is not the life. So my son's up. He's 19. He's with me, and we're doing really well right now. A year ago, I left. A year and a half ago, I started a company, and I'm like, this is not a side hustle. I'm all in. So I'm like, right, fuck. So I wrote a book, did the talks, and I put myself out there, and I started making reasonable money. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go for the big game, and I went for it, and I got it. And then I asked for my price, and they're like, yeah. I'm like, fuck.
You undercut yourself.
Totally.
Yeah, way undercut yourself.
Way.
Yeah.
But I'm in the door now.
Yeah.
But what I'm getting is a swift education. It's painful, right? Because I'm like, okay,
They're usually the best lessons. The expensive ones.
The expensive ones are the best. But my eyes, everything, the veil has been pulled up. I'm like, right, maybe I can start doing some bigger game stuff, like 7-figure shit. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. So I reached out to people. I got chatting to people. James Smith, PT, he's been helping me. Me and Stuart, we talk about business. We talk about the failures that we've made. We don't talk about the successes and the wins. We talk about the fuck-ups, the things that didn't go right, because that's where you learn. You're talking about all the things you've done, and I've not once heard you go, oh, I smashed this, I did this, I did that. And I'm like, this is a kid that's going places.
Well, because the success... I'm trying to think of the way to word it. It's like they say businesses never just go steady. They're either doing better or they're doing worse. So it's like, there's anything. So it's like, okay, yeah, I went and got the nice car. I had friends that had Ferraris. I had friends that had Lambos, and so on and so forth. If you constantly go, oh, I need to be better than that person, need to be that, but you'll never be happy.
Yeah.
Comparison is the thief of joy.
100%.
Is a phrase that it's just like it's like I have my little 1-bed place out in Pori, and it's got a garage big enough that I can work on my cars, and it's got a 3-car driveway. And for me as a car enthusiast, that's all I need.
Yeah.
I have a friend who has a house 2 streets away from here, £1.5 million house on Queen's Road, and he lives on his own. And he has a lovely massive house, and he basically uses 1 room of it.
Yeah.
Near enough. And I can guarantee he would be just as happy in my house. He bought it as an investment. He's done really well in that place, and he's got a bunch of other properties in Aberdeen. But he would be just as equally happy in that. It's like, I think, especially now, I boiled my life down. Because I liked nice things. I had, before I got banned there, I had 5 cars, a couple more bikes. I would, oh, it's a Tuesday afternoon, I'd go for a drive out to Ballater. Oh, it's snowing, kind of thing. I'd take the Discovery up to Glenshee. I'd go snowboarding and do all these fun things that I'd love doing. And then now I've got banned. It's spurred me to. I thought I did all the sensible stuff in my early 20s, and I had friends that did all the traveling, but they were doing all the traveling on a budget. I'm now like, fuck, I can go and do the traveling, and if I want to hire a Lamborghini in Tokyo, I can. And nice. So I'm wanting to do it around this way now, but I didn't have. It's the. we talked about him earlier, Chris Williams. Is the beta paradox?
Yeah.
If you go a mile or less, you'd walk it, but if you go 2 miles or more or something, you'd drive it.
100%.
So paradoxically, you get further in a lesser distance. If your situation's worse, it causes you to go further.
100%.
So I had a comfy, easy life in Aberdeen. I had, I've got the businesses, the engineering job and stuff like that. Make a decent living.
Comfort is where men go to become the same as every other man around themselves.
Comfort's the enemy of success.
Yeah.
And I had a comfy life, and I still do security at the weekend sometimes now because I just like being busy. I just like doing stuff all the time. Yeah. And I had a comfy enough, easy enough life that it wasn't until I got banned the second time that I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'm moving. Yeah. Like, that's me. I'd thought about doing it for ages, and that was the paradox. That was enough of a kick. I went, right, my life is now going to be inconvenient in the UK. Yeah. See you later, I'll go somewhere else. And I've now boiled my life from 5 cars, couple of motorbikes, all the nice things, the big TV, the nice sofas, all the nice furniture, everything like that. I now have it boiled down to a 28-kilo North Face bag. And that is my entire life. And you know what? It's really freeing. It's really, really nice.
See, now, have you heard of sunk cost fallacy?
Potentially, and just not known it to be named that.
So sunk cost fallacy is that thing where you see it a lot in relationships. You see it a lot in companies. Men or people who work for companies. Mm-hmm. They've invested so much time already that it would be ridiculous to now just leave or quit.
Yeah.
This idea of quitting is bad. No, it's fucking not. No. Sometimes quitting is the most intelligent thing you can do. I look back, and I've had some pretty interesting relationships. And I look back now and I'm like...
That's a really general way of putting it.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Do you know what? There's another one, right? There's people out there that lie to themselves. Mm-hmm. Stop lying to yourself. Like, I don't have any regrets. You're full of shit. I've got loads of regrets. Another one, yeah, but if that didn't happen, if that really shit thing didn't happen to me, I wouldn't be in the position I'm in now. That's fair enough. Mm-hmm. But you know what? There's a version of life, I wish that thing hadn't happened. Mm-hmm. I wish I hadn't lost that friend. Or that accident hadn't. Can we just stop bullshitting ourselves and say, look, what is it that you fucking want? Because most people don't fucking know. Yep. And that is the game. If you can know, there's that really cool scene in The Matrix, the first one, the best one. Mm-hmm. And she's like, do you know, the Oracle says, do you know what that says up there? And he looks at the sign, and there's a wooden engraved sign, and it says, Tempit Nose. And he's like, no. And she says, know thyself. Mm-hmm. That's the game. If you can know who you are, and then everything else is a matter of, right, I don't need to do any of this shit. I don't need the 1.2 million house in the 5-car drive. What I really need is simplicity and to just get the fuck out of here and go and do that free life. But we can't just arrive there. We have to get to there. So you were talking about Jimmy Carr. I've read a lot of philosophy, right? A lot of good shit. It's really helpful.
I'm wondering if, because this isn't didn't speak about this prior to switching the cameras on.
We met 30 minutes before.
I'm wondering if we're thinking of the same Jimmy Carr quote with regards to the meaning of life.
So, I've done a lot of soul searching in my life. Mm-hmm. PTSD, depression, suicide. I've lost, personally, 9 friends to suicide, And this is why I do what I do. I got last year, I spoke... India, Dubai, Qatar, Croatia, the UK, like global best-selling speaker, and it's brilliant, right? I would give all that up in a fucking heartbeat if I could get some of the people back in my life. I don't give a shit about all that stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't care. Like right now, I'm living on as the whoops to grow my business because I would take my son for fucking, £90 fucking lobster because I was offshore. My son knows fucking fine things. Mm-hmm. And he's like, Dad, we need to get more honey for the coffee. He's about to join the fucking... I'm not even going to say what he's about to do. He's about to do something extraordinary. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, you wouldn't fucking think you had a luxury upbringing. It really doesn't matter where you come from, what you've had around you. It's knowing who you are. Mm-hmm. But the Jimmy Carr, I couldn't believe he said it. And I love his funny shit. And he just pulls out with, enjoy the passage of time.
Yeah, enjoying the passage. Like the meaning of life is to enjoy the passage of time. Mate? Yeah,
I can't better that. So Jimmy, I fucking love you for this. I can't better that.
One different one, and this was my dad. Probably he's one person. His name's Ken Hopper. He's a friend of, well, I guess a friend of mine as well, a friend of my dad's. He's one of these guys. Ken will be in his 60s now, and it's like he's got a house next to my parents that he's built himself. And then sometimes he'll post on Facebook, and I'm like, oh, is that an old photo? And Mum's like, oh no, he's like climbing in the Himalayas right now. He's not mental, but he is just wild, just wild.
I love that shit.
And Dad, he'd posted something. I can't remember if it was on Dad's birthday or his birthday or something like that, and he said that the aim of the game is to die young, as old as possible.
Right.
And he said,
love that.
And he said that, and it took me a second because my dyslexia was having a fucking stroke reading it. I was like, what tense does he mean that in? And then once I clicked, and I was just like, because that's what he's doing. He is living the life of like a 22-year-old.
Yeah.
But he's like,
he's old.
mid-60s kind of thing.
Physically.
And he's just, he's like, why would I stop? Because the second you stop, your body gives up.
Well, that's what they say. Men at 65.
The speeding bullet never falls.
100%. Clint Eastwood, he's got a really nice one. He said, never let the old man in. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my dad, so I grew up with that father. My biological father never looked the road at me.
Mm-hmm.
But my mum met this guy when I was 11, 12. World class. I mean, like, honestly, just world class.
Mm-hmm.
Ex-special forces, served in the sneakiest of sneaky beaky lives.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a thread of him online. Nothing.
No.
Right. Knows Morse code. Yeah, I mean, like, he was teaching me Morse code when I was 13, He would teach me, like, go make a cup of tea. He's got da-da-da-da. Tea from Morse. And I'm like, he's a clever old bastard. But
it's wired into him. It's like, he knows no different.
Oh, 100%. So he taught me how to hunt, how to drive, how to shoot, how to think, how to stay cool. Because I was emotionally hyper, because I was so upset about a lot of things in life, and he tempered that down. But he was hard to grow up with. Impossible standards. I mean, impossible. Mom, Dad, my pal Carl, he's wanting me to go and bide at his at the weekend. He's out in Bridge Alva. Oh, brilliant now. It's 6 mile, Dad. Can you give us a lift? So I'm your legs. I'm 12. He's like, I'm not a taxi. You want to go? Fucking go. Oh, Dad, can I get a Nintendo? Aye, crack on.
Buy it.
But he's like, I'm not fucking getting it. He was a toe pusher. He's like, that's my money. Now that's kind of, However, he saw I was soft and I wasn't tempered right. And later on in life, I was just coming out of the army. He gave me this piece of advice, and it's never left me. 3 fucking words: know your failings. And I hated him for it. I was like, know your feelings? The fuck is he on about?
Fuck you.
What the fucking shit is that? I don't fail. I'm a man. I win. Yeah. Success. Later on down in life, I was like, fuck. The quicker you can know your fuck ups and who you are,
the quicker you then realize who you are. So Mum and Dad, they did not obviously the same as your one, but very privileged upbringing. But like in the sense of like, it came to,
I like that though.
It came to Christmas. Say me and my brother both wanted an Xbox. There was one, share it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But we still got it. There was never we never. But it wasn't like middle of the year. Like, oh, I want this kind of thing. Like, fuck off, wait your birthday. Kind of thing. But then it was instilled. I've had a job since I was 12. One of our neighbours was building a house, and he'd come over to Mum and be like, "Hi, I'm building a house down the road. I need someone small and nimble for running the wires around the shell of the house," kind of thing, because he was a Sparky and he was going to pay everything in himself. And so I did that, and it was like £3 an hour or whatever. And then I was like, right, okay. So then I had the money. I said to Mum, I was like, I want to get an Xbox. And this was like, I got like a Xbox 360 back when Halo 3 came out, and that was like, absolute peak, absolute peak.
Oh my god!
And
what a game!
Mum and Dad had basically, they brought us up. They'd instilled us with, if we buy it for you, we can take it off you.
Oh, that's good.
If you buy it for yourself, it's yours. So I bought my Xbox, and then I got a part-time job, and I bought my TV that I had in my bedroom. If I was a little bastard, regular occurrence. Then the phone that they bought me for my 13th birthday, whatever, which was like it wasn't even a Nokia 3310. It was just like some knockoff or whatever. But it was I could phone on it.
Yeah.
That was the sole purpose of it. It was like family holidays and stuff. So that when I got lost before, and so it was just like, you keep hold of this. I know 2 mobile numbers off by heart, mine and my mum's, because it was drilled into me when I was 14, and I have never forgotten it. And there's loads of guys going, say it out loud, and give us Sheena's number. No. And so if I fucked around, I could have the phone taken off me. But if I got sent to my room, TV and Xbox were there, and they were mine. Okay. And it was to instill this: if you want something, work for it, and then it's yours, and then you get to keep it, and no one can take it away from you. And so I had that. So like I bought my first car and everything like that. And there was one thing when I got caught on a dash cam doing donuts in the Maserati. That's what got me banned the first time. A guy drove past in a 2019 Qashqai, and an old man called Derek. I'm not saying his surname. And,
it's always a Derek.
It's always a Derek. He was a miserable old bastard. And he drove past, and this was up at the top of the Cairn Mountain, so middle fucking nowhere in the countryside. My friends had been up there with their drift cars, abiding by all the road rules, and I'd gone up to the top, and I was like, I'll just get out of my system. I'd done a couple of donuts. He'd driven past the car park, and obviously some of them, I had thought maybe some of the stones or something like that scattered off the side of his car. Okay. So he comes back around, and he's like, who is driving that Maserati like a dickhead? And I just put my hand up, because I was like, it was me driving the car, and I was driving like a dick. Look, bud, I'm really sorry, if I've fling stones and stuff onto your car, I'll get I'll come and polish it, or I'll pay to get someone to polish it. Like I'm an enthusiast. I'm not wanting to damage someone else's shit. The kind of thing. It's like if you had an argument with someone, like you could get in a fight with someone, but I'd never touch their shit, because their shit's their shit. Yeah. You heal for free. You have to pay to have a car fixed. And the guy was like, does your dad know that you're driving his car like that? And I just saw red. And I was like, my dad won't even drive this car, you fucking bam. And it just I just absolutely gunned at him. And he's like, I've got dashcam footage of this. I'm gonna stick it on Facebook. And I was like, my name's Andrew Dinan. Fucking tag me in it. He took it to the police. Bearing in mind, this was during, and because I know it's a load of shit, I know I can still say this. It was during my 14-day quarantine after coming back from Sweden. So the police 3 days later show up at my house. Oh, do you know why we're here? And I was like, fucking hell, we're actually getting a quarantine check. And they're like, a what? And I was like, oh, never mind, and realised I dobbed myself in. I was meant to be in my house. And they went, oh, we're here. There's, can you inform us who was driving this vehicle up the Cairn Mount at this day, this time? And I was like, that's really specific. And then I knew. I knew. So that went to court. And I got banned for a year for dangerous driving, for doing donuts. Because and obviously in the paperwork it says, the accused named himself as Andrew Dinan and stuff like that, and I'm like, I fucking did as well. I did, because the thing had audio, so it heard me saying to him, "Fucking tag me, my name's Andrew Dinan." Did it? Yeah, because I had the audio from inside the car, so I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. So then when I read the paperwork and stuff, I was like, right, sound, fair enough. Like, what the fuck are you meant to do?
Oh, fuck it.
Yeah, that wasn't ideal. So I got a year ban for that, and then that was a real low point in life, which is again spurred to why I'm wanting to move to Australia, because when I spoke to Mum when I saw the second ban looming for, I was going a tad over the speed limit on my motorbike, Anyone that Googles my name can see how fast I was going, as per the police report. When that was looming, I said to Dad humorously, I was like, you know what? I think this is gonna be it. I think I'm gonna move, because I was like, there's no point being an enthusiast, because that's my therapy. Like I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't take recreational drugs or anything like that. So it was like, that's my thing that I need to calm my brain down, because my brain goes so fast all the time. And so I said this to Dad, and he goes, do you actually think you need to move? And I was like, yeah. And I think because Mum had seen how low I was in the previous ban, when I said it to her, she was just like, it's a shame, but yeah, kind of thing. Because she was like, I don't want to see you move to the other side of the planet, because I would have moved back to Sweden, but obviously with Brexit and stuff like that, it's not so simple to move to Europe now. But Mum was like, if that's what you need to do for your brain to be fine, she goes, I don't really want to see you go to the other side of the planet, but so be it. So many people have been like, what's making you move? And I'm like, because I got banned from driving. And everyone's like, that can't be the actual reason. I'm like, it's like I like the idea of going there and just seeing what to do with myself, because I'm a yes man. Yeah. But also, yeah, I was like, fuck being here and not being able to drive. So yeah,
So that's the fulcrum.
yeah,
You know,
it was just
that's your fulcrum,
yeah.
innit? You know, it's giving you that leverage, which is it's actually interesting how sometimes things can come. You know, the chances of life. What is it they call that? Murphy's law.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
whatever can happen will happen. So, what are your thoughts? Are you excited? What are your thoughts actually getting over? Where are you going? Like, you know, what's
Undecided.
really? So it's still kind of just up in there.
I have always been. I've been instilled by mum. I've always been a planner. Friends love going on holidays with me and stuff like that because they just show up at the airport and then we land somewhere and they're like, oh, there's a private hire bus and oh, this is the apartment. And I've organised everything down to T because I fucking despise. Like I used to like have an events company and stuff like that, and everything was like, you know, we'd had acts like Hannah Wants and we booked Hannah Lang. You know, Hannah Lang
DJ.
When we booked her for sub £2,000. Because
Fuck.
before
I mean, she's big.
She's big now.
I mean,
She's
I was
charging
following
like
her.
she's charging like
wicked.
she's charging like 20 grand a night. There was once actually, and if she watches this, she'll remember this. She wiped me out at Glen Shee skiing, but she was all togged up, and I was standing in the queue, and this girl wiped my legs out on skis, and I looked, and I went, Hannah, and she because obviously she was more known at this point, and I'm like, what the fuck, and I helped her up, and then she disappeared off, and then I'd seen people. Like, had then seen her and I'd been getting, oh, fucking hell, Hannah
she is
Lang,
one of the best
Hannah
DJs
Lang was on the fucking
around.
slopes and everything like that. And so then I'd replied to a photo of it and then tagged her, being like, when Hannah wipes you out, but you're not going to say anything. And she replied, like, fuck you, Andrew.
I give you this, mate. You are not fucking boring.
No,
You are anything but boring, mate. This is good.
That's one thing that when my friends and stuff, when I said I was coming on this, they said, you're going on a podcast, and I was like, yeah, and they're like, why? And I was like, I think you just wanted someone a bit unorthodox, and I've been called a lot of things. I've been called many names, but boring wasn't one. One thing that my friends will say, and this is something that anyone that's known me, you know, it's almost 11 years I've been in Aberdeen, that you do not ask the question if you do not want the answer. As in the sense that, like...
you won't pull any punches.
No, if someone asks me, they're not getting their opinion out of my mouth, they're getting my opinion out of my mouth. And I have lost... I wouldn't say friends is the wrong term, because if they valued the opinion, then they'd still be my friends. But I've lost relationships with people because they've asked my opinion, I've voiced my opinion, and they've not liked what my opinion is. But then they also...
That's because it was real.
But then that's because they know that they're getting the genuine opinion from me. And one thing that people say is that I might be a bit of a dick sometimes, but people always know what they're getting with me.
No,
that if I'm in the, no, but not even with just, I can be a bit of a dick. Like, that's just who I am as a person. Is I am a wind up.
No, but
people always know when I walk into the room 10 years ago, when I walk into the room now, everyone knows what they're getting when I walk into the room.
So, for me right now, this to me is obscenely overweight and out of shape, right? But it's not, right? I'm a healthy bloke.
Yeah.
But 4 years ago, I was in 4 years ago, I was in fucking incredible shape. 2-3 hours of gym every day, offshore, 12-hour shifts, eating really well, drinking reasonably, but not mad, walking fucking everywhere, really fucking good shape. And then I piled weight on again. And, it was just fucking life. But I said to my brother, I was like, no, I've had enough. I'm gonna get my shit together. And he's like, shut the fuck up. Right to my face. We're outside having a tin. I was up at his house. And he wasn't being a dick. Just like, shut the fuck up. He said, do you know how many fucking times I've heard this? And that was the kick up the arse I needed. That was not him being a shitty brother. That was him, I love you, but you're talking dog shit. Don't tell me you're going to do it. Just fucking go and do it. This whole, I am telling the world the thing I'm going to do. Oh, that's fine.
No,
but the amount of resources
you just do the thing. Just put the energy into instead of putting the energy into saying the thing, just do the thing.
100%.
I've got a mate, one of my best mates, Ian, and regardless of what shape I'm in, like I'm probably in the best shape I've been in my life, and regardless of what shape I'm in, he'll always call me fat. And it's just, there was at one point, like, I was really skinny, like, I lost a bunch of weight, and he's like, fucking hell, mate, fucking hell, eat a fucking sandwich. And he'd be like, he'd always be, but it was always constructive. It never sounded constructive, but it was always constructive. And, like, he started coming to the gym when he had a really bad car crash last year. I pulled him out of what was left of his car after he rolled into field 4 times at 120 mile an hour.
boy.
60 miles an hour. And
Yeah, 60.
the police were like, you two were definitely racing. And I was like, well, I was in the faster car, so why the fuck was I behind him? I was like, the math doesn't add up on that one, officer. And
You're going to have to be careful down under.
Yeah.
'Cause they are ruthless.
So
Aye.
my thought process is when I go over there is to buy a nice slow cruiser motorbike and then buy a track bike that I don't drive on the road, because I'm fully conscious of who I am as a person, and I like going fast. It's my brain
Get your fix.
My brain can compensate for that, and I like that's the thing. I couldn't stay in the UK and not get my fix. Like it just it wouldn't be a life worth living. So
It's interesting that this Australia thing's it's sitting there like in this conversation. I know you're away to go.
Mm-hmm.
I've been speaking to Stuart about this. I've been speaking to my son. So my son's 19. He's away to join up.
Mm-hmm.
He's 70% through the fucking process right now. He's becoming a very fit young man, and I'm very proud of him. But I'm like, right, he's away. He's gone. And I'm like, what the fuck? Do I really want to stay around here? I thought
there's nothing holding you here anymore.
No, so I thought about Dubai, because I did some work over there last year. It's big, it's shiny, it's beautiful, it's tax-free. Not for me.
No.
It is not for me. It's too clean, it's too perfect. I don't think I would maybe fit in for a fortnight.
Yeah.
And then
it's a holiday destination.
Yeah, it's not for me. I've got family in Australia. I've got real friends that I serve with in Australia. There's something about it that's
the lifestyle's nice. Like I've had cousins. I've had cousins that have lived over there for years and years and years, and they came back to the UK to like when they started their family, but they lived there for like a good bit of their adult lives, and they said it was fantastic. And they're like, everyone's it's so expensive because everyone's a miserable cunt. Like here, everyone's it's expensive over there. I'm like, I've got a friend, Hannah. She's been over there a year and a half, and she's a manager in a cafe. I think she makes near enough the equivalent of 40 grand a year as a manager in a cafe. Her boyfriend, he's a cocktail bartender. He makes 37 grand a year. Equivalent GBP.
Wow.
Kind of thing. And
That's good money.
That's what I'm saying. People are like, oh, it's more expensive to live over there. I'm like, yeah, but you're making more.
Yeah.
And the standard of life, this is the difference.
That's
you
the quality of your life.
You finish work, and this is good weather.
Yeah.
You can go down the beach and have a barbecue. Not 3 days of the year. There's 3 days of the year there you can't do that. So it's like...
Yeah.
When people are like, oh, it looks like everyone's just surfing all the time. I'm like, no, everyone still has a fucking job.
Yeah.
Everyone, predominantly like the same as the UK kind of thing. Not everyone has a 9 to 5, but everyone they still have a job. They still need to work to have the life. But it's lunchtime. They'll go outside, sit in the sun, have a pint, and then they'll go back to work. Yeah. So then they're not so fucking miserable. Whereas here, you're sitting in your little cubicle in Aberdeen. You sit there. Oh, it comes to lunchtime, perfect, and you pull out your little fucking Systema fucking tub, your little thing, and you eat your chicken and rice or whatever. Oh, half an hour's gone past, and you've got fucking Gary from Projects breathing down your neck because you haven't sent that email or something. And then you've got another 4 or 5 hours of that, and then you get home. Oh, look, it's fucking pissing down. And this perpetual cycle.
You got to watch this series. We're all watching it. Everyone, let's watch this thing. It's like, no.
It takes me a week to watch. See, unless it's something like a Nolan film or whatever. Yeah. It takes me like a week to watch a film because it's like whilst I'm eating my dinner, I'll watch 15 minutes of it. There was one. Yeah, have you seen the latest season of Reacher?
I've seen
the one with I've
got
Jack.
2 episodes left.
What's his face? So
he's out in that cliff place.
Yeah. So I won't spoil it too much, but there's the fight scene between him and Paulie, the big guy. The guy that's like the Dutch giant or whatever.
I saw them
he's
having
called.
a scrap in the gym.
So they're having so that's when they're having like the climax of the season. So they're having this massive scrap. Right?
I'll have to watch it now.
One of my friends had already finished watching the season, and they came into my house, and I was sitting down to eat dinner, and I switched it on. As I switched it on, it started playing from midway through this massive climatic fight scene of the last 7 episodes, and he kind of paused and he looked at me and went, have you been watching this today? And I went, no. And he went, so you were watching this yesterday, and right in the middle of this majorly dramatic fight scene, you finished your dinner and went off and went and did something else. So I was like, well, yeah, because why the fuck would I just sit? Like, I understand some people, they enjoy doing that.
Yeah, the completion.
But for me, as soon as I'm like, okay, I'm finished eating my food, I'm like, right, I'm going back into the garage to do something, or I'm going out on the bike, or I'm just like sitting in the house and doing fuck all, which I have done a lot more of than the last couple of weeks since I've been banned, because you can only go to the gym so many hours of the day.
Yeah.
And like, I don't really work during the day just now, kind of thing. Like, so like my business is like I have like one for pat testing. I have a friend who's an electrical engineer. He does that.
We can talk about that
I
offline.
have.
'Cause it's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, yeah. So it's yeah, they like all that stuff that kind of goes on in the background, and so it's like I am blessed with a lot of free time, but for someone who I am like I am, it's a curse. I hate that's the drive. That's actually probably full circle background to your initial question,
Yeah.
where my drive comes from. With my ADHD and stuff like that, I fucking hate doing nothing.
I can't
And
do
that's-
nothing.
And it's not, it wasn't instilled for me from mum and dad. Mum
Yeah.
and dad, they like going on a little holiday now and again. And like dad likes just like, you know, sitting and reading a book and, you know, having a beer in the evening. I can't think of anything worse. And maybe, they know I might season, I might age, I might, you know, like I've started learning to play instruments and like, you know, I went flying with my friend Will, and like I think I might start doing more of the flying thing and stuff like that. And I'm still finding new hobbies, and I still think that there's people that like, oh, I don't want to take up new hobbies. I'm like, you're not even say the age of say you're 25, you're only a third of the way through your life. Why the fuck wouldn't you learn new? It's like you're not an old dog yet. You can still learn new tricks.
Take this as a compliment, because it is meant as a compliment. But you're one of the first people I've met in a while. Believe it or not, I'm an analog person.
Mm-hmm.
I like analog things. I miss being able to, because I used to have a Ford Mondale that I would pull out the spark plugs, clean it, you know, all that, can drop the oil, putting on the exhaust myself.
That's why I like the old Jack
I
cars.
did all my own shit, right? Toyota Supra is my favourite old Japette. I'm a big car person.
Yeah.
You're an analog person. I'm not saying that you don't have digital
Yeah.
shit, right?
But no, it's.
But you've got quite an analog temperament, and that, I think, is something that is going to really, really do you good in the years to come.
It's just logical. It's because it's also a male thing. One
Yeah.
thing that it was like my last proper relationship. It was something that, and I'm still really good friends with my ex-girlfriend now. But one thing that I struggled with in a relationship, and I've now will hopefully be able to take, you know, like in the future, as well as like I'm single, moving to Australia as well. People like, you know, I've got no kids, I've got no dependents, I've got that. No, it's like I've got a really good life here that I could come back to, which is I think a really big thing as well, because I know a lot of people that move away because they've got fuck all going on here, and then it's like they go over there, they need it to work because they have nothing to come back to.
Yeah.
I have everything to come back to. I've got my whole family at home, my nieces. Like I could go up and like live next to my parents and
Build a life.
I could have the whole world there. So I'm like, why wouldn't I go and try it? Because I have something good to come back to. I have this safety net. I have this buffer.
Yeah.
And my issue I had in previous relationships was my brain's so logical. So if I had my girlfriend at the time would come to me with a problem, and she'd be upset, and my brain goes, "Oh, I've got a flat tire on my car." I'm like, "Okay, I'll just go get a new tire and get it put on." But she wants to be sad about it for an hour. It's because the guy's brain is, I can go solve the problem,
drama.
and then you don't need to be sad anymore.
Yeah.
But then you have to get to the point of asking the question. Every guy that's watching this is going, a
Fucking no.
fucking no, right? And every girl's gonna be like, "Guy's a prick. He's fucking calling us out." And it makes
No,
everything-
you're right.
So I now, in the relationship I've had since then, is a question: do you want resolution, or do you want me to, like, you just want acknowledgement? You want to
Hold
just
space for you
just
to be
want
annoyed.
you just want me to be like, I know, right? That fucking, you know, say you know, someone was an asshole to her at work. I'm like, okay, you could just, you know, tell your superior or something about it. Like the logical
Yeah.
thing. She's like, I want to be upset about it. I'm like, okay, fucking hell, kind of thing. So it's like, do you want consoled? Like,
Yeah.
do you want consoled in this, or do you just want me to actually fix the problem for you? Sometimes they do want the problem fixed, and then they fix it and they go, oh, because they're too clouded by the emotion. And this is guys and girls. I'm not
that's right,
just saying it's just girls, but I have only been in relationship with girls, so I can only talk about my experience.
Yeah.
That's something that I had to learn, because my brain is so... People are like, why'd you move to Aberdeen? Because it was the sensible place to go. Why are you going to Australia? Well, because I would move to Sweden, but Australia, cars are on the same side. I've already gone over and got my Australian driver's license, and everyone already speaks English.
Yeah.
So it's easy. It is just the most...
100%.
I don't always necessarily do the path of least resistance, but it's like, it's the logical choice.
Yeah.
I'm an engineer. I can go over there. There's loads of engineering prospects. I've got friends working in the mines just now. I've had friends that have worked in the mines for the last 2 years.
Good
that
money
they've
down
had
there.
they've had no less than 30 grand in their bank, like liquid,
Yeah,
in their
liquid.
current account at any point, and they're just like living in Thailand in between. And they're like, doesn't matter how many hookers you buy, how much cocaine you sniff, like you cannot spend the money you're making because it is so fucking dirt cheap over there.
This is it's easy to get pessimistic. I'm a big believer, because I've had relationships where, funnily enough, right, when I look back, there was a lot of shit that got done to me, said about me and all that. Some of it might be true, right? I was never disloyal, never cheated, I never did anything like that. I was probably boring to some of these, relationships, but a good standard of bloke.
Yeah.
But that wasn't enough. They wanted the drama. They wanted to do the crazy thing and like be in affairs and stuff. I'm like, nah, crack on. But I kept repeating the same mistakes. I'm like, why do I keep meeting people who are like nines and tens, stunning, a lot of fun, but hurt me? I'm like, it can't be them. It must be something I'm doing. The logical reason. I looked at
the common denominator.
Yeah. So I'm like, instead of just blaming people, like, okay, I can't change them. So I realised that I was a people pleaser and a codependent. And I didn't know about this stuff, right?
No.
So when I was like, shit, this is uncomfortable. I don't like admitting this. Right, I'm admitting it. I'm taking it. The minute I admitted it, I'm like, okay, right, it's not such a scary thing. And then I went a year and a half single. No sex, no dating, nothing. It's like I wiped the board clean. And I was like, I got to know myself again. I got to do all the things, started the company.
I'm dangerously comfortable being single,
mate.
Like my mates have ripped me for this as well, because they're like you are so unfathomable, like discreetly autistic. But it's like, I will be speaking to a girl and like say, like I was speaking to a girl or something like that, or going on a date and something. The second that my brain sees something that's like a major no, my brain's like bloop, like completely like not interested. It's like, yeah, and it could be the smallest thing, but it's like they don't even notice that they've said something passing conversation.
Yeah.
But it could be something that's like, I had an ex-girlfriend who thought that you couldn't get anywhere in life if you weren't private schooled. She was private schooled. She knew no different. It was by no fault of her own.
Yeah.
But she'd gone to Gordon's. That was all she knew. And she was like, if you don't go to private school, you won't go anywhere. And I was like, I know lots of people that got into Gordon's, and I do better than them. Yeah. And I went to a public school. Granted, it was a secluded public school, and the 1-to-1, like, the ratio of pupils to teachers was really good.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. The education I got from Plockton was fantastic, which I hope none of my teachers hear that, because most of them are pricks.
We always knew he had potential.
Yeah. Oh no, I got asked back. I got asked back by she was the deputy head teacher at the time, but she became the head teacher. I got asked back by her when I had my Maserati to give a talk to the 5th and 6th years as, and I quote, a good example of a bad pupil.
That's a nice thing for someone to say.
Because she goes, I was a little bastard in school. because I would just dick around in class and I distract other people and stuff, because I get the work done and then I just fuck about. And I would get in trouble at school. I'd have mum coming in having to pick me up and stuff like that. I almost got suspended and expelled like 3 times, but because I was actually a good student, they like kept me in school. And then she basically was there, and she's like, Andrew went to school here. She goes, he did all right in school. He goes, he then went on, he's actually done quite well after school because he actually applied himself. And it was basically saying that you don't have to go through the straight into uni. You don't have to do the straight student stuff. You can still do all right. And then she goes, I drove here in my Mini Cooper. She goes, Andrew's parked next to me in the staff car park with his Maserati. And I was like, fucking right, I did. And I was chuffed as.
There's no linear path.
No, it's
and especially not anymore.
No,
there's no linear path.
The best advice that I gave this to my brother, and my brother's done fantastically with it. The reason everyone started getting degrees is because no one had one. Every man and his fucking dog has a degree now, so they're worthless. And they're not. And don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I would like the person who's performing open heart surgery on me to have a PhD. Personally, but for someone to be going and doing, the amount of jobs now that they say they need you to have a degree for, you don't need a degree. They want you to have 5 years of experience when you're 20.
I saw a meme on Instagram the other day. It was a guy. He says, "This is me doing the trolleys at Tesco. 95, nice comfy job. I'd had enough, so I went and got my degree, and now I'm back here pushing trolleys."
And I have a degree because it's
like. And it's a mock.
From the everything that I did at uni, I've never used in the workplace.
What is it I read years ago? If you think your degree is so fucking great, why don't you take it to your bank manager for getting your mortgage? Because they don't give a fuck.
Nope.
You got a degree. They don't ask.
No.
How much do you earn? And that is not correlatedly linked to your degree.
No.
Do you know a guy called Brian Tracy? Might be Jim Rohn, actually. It might be Jim Rohn, an old kind of wise dude. And he said, nobody is paid. He drew this graph, blew my fucking head away, because we're all paid.
The fuck around and find out graph.
Well, there's that. It's one of them, right? But it's like I'll try and get
X equals Y. The more you fuck around,
the more you fuck around, the more you find
out.
out. But it was really interesting because we're all built the tax-paying mentality. You will be this person that you get paid per hour. That's not the reality of it. You get paid per the value that you bring to the marketplace. That's why anyone can work at McDonald's because there's no real intelligence required. I'm not dissing it.
No, but
I love burgers and I love that.
It's something that most people can be trained to do.
Yeah, anyone can do it, you know. But how much value do you bring to the marketplace? Well, the guy that sells the most sugary water made $55 million last year. Coca-Cola CEO. Yep. That's just sugary water. That's all it is. It's carbonated sugar. It's not really a valuable, but that value that brand brings, you know. So it got me thinking in terms of stuff like that, you know, like where's the value? So for me, business is about solving one problem better than anyone else can solve it. Just as one specific area in my little life is what I focus. It's quite
it's niche.
Yeah, but it's not even like that's sexy kind of thing. It's not like the Nike of the fucking oil and gas world or energy. It's quite a frivolous little fucking thing. It's very lucrative though, and it's got the potential to turn into something like massive, you know. But I left school at fucking 14 with nothing, and I look back now and I'm like, how the fuck have I done this? And I hear stories about some of the things you're doing. I'm like, this lad's got it.
Hopefully, I am a big in my early 20s and everything like that as well. I was very much the look at me, and I guess I mean if you were to look at my social medias and speak to my friends and stuff, they'd probably still say I'm similar. But it's just because I have a lot of people that they'll reply to my stuff on Instagram and things, and they say that it's like even if they haven't seen me in years, they genuinely just follow my stuff to get a laugh now and again because they'll just see that I'll just do something, and it's like. I do this stuff. I've got one of my friends, Andy, and like in years to come, it'll be fantastic that he's filmed every drunken night out and every kind of thing. Because at the time, our mates hate it. Because the next morning he's like, "Wait, look at you, dickheads," kind of thing. But it's like, I mean, Stuart will have this as well with the photos of like. Photos of me getting my nipples out constantly in clubs and stuff like that at raves, and which he has a catalogue of, I'm sure, and, and really sweaty at the front of unit. And in 10 years' time, we're all going to be really happy that he's taken this footage. My train of thought's gone there now. All I was just thinking about is me getting my nipples out of unit.
Just saying that. Yeah. One of my best mates, right? I'm not going to say his name. But I grew up with this boy, right? And he has zero limit. There's nothing there's no line he will not cross. He is a savage, and he is the most loyal motherfucker you'll ever know. We had a big fucking to do with a family years ago. I'm not going to get into it, but it was pretty fucking serious shit. And one of the kids grew up, he was like 23 at the time. Came in the shop and like starts looking at me, and I was like, and he's like, "Who's that?" I was like, "Oh, that's that boy." Walked round, not fuck out of him in the shop, and I'm like, "I fucking love you." I didn't ask for it.
No, but it just because you
fucked with my boy, right? Yeah. Now
I don't care if you're in a wheelchair.
Yeah. So this is years ago, right before COVID, and pre-COVID, my drinking scene. I'd just come out of a 14-year marriage, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna go have some fun again." Back out with the boys. I was loving life. And I fucking walk it, a wallet full of fucking cash, a wad of cash. End up back at his house, right? Massive fucking 2-day party. I fell asleep on the sofa. Woke up, nothing had happened. Like, fucking hell. He's changed. He's matured. How fucking wrong I was. A couple of weeks go by, they're like, is he showing you the video? I'm like, what video? And they're like, ask him to show you the video. But there was no video circulating. So he still to this day won't give it to anyone, but he's got it on his phone. And he showed me. I am flat out on the sofa like that, like proper spark code. And all you hear is this, that fucking, is it seahorses or whatever, wild horses, hoo, hoo, the scene from Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, right.
You know when he does the same and he gets the fucking skin cloak
Oh,
on.
yeah,
And he tucks his
yeah.
fucking cock inside of himself. And he's going, "Who would you fuck me?" He starts dancing to this. And he's doing it to me. And he's like turning the camera around. And he's like, and he's butt naked. He's got butt naked and he's dancing. And the music's on full blast. And he's going,
Right over you.
Doom, doom. Doom, 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 doom. And he's butt naked.
Right next to you.
Right next to me, rubbing up against me, the big hairy gorilla fuck. And I'm like, I fucking love you. Never change.
I've never said that to anyone.
Never. Please don't ever give that to anyone in my family. Make sure my fucking dad brothers never get that. But I fucking love you. We need more of that shit in life because we can't go through life with this clean living pish.
In my it was the friend group. The friend group, which is called "What Are You Doing, Step Bro?" The icon photo. I'll leave him. To save him. I'll leave him unnamed. But we were down at one of these like log cabin things down Loch. It was down. It was like down past Glasgow, like down kind of like out the west coast way there, and it had a hot tub, and we went down and we climbed up Ben Lomond, I think it was that day, and it was like 14th of December. It was like -5 at the top, and we come back down. There was a hot tub at the place. We're like, oh, it sounds brilliant. So we sat there, a few bevies, sitting there in the hot tub. Oh, this is nice. This is really cozy. I think I went to bed at like 3 in the morning or something. Wake up in the morning, and me and unnamed other person, his bed was made, and I wake up and look at the bed and I go, anyone seen? You'll know. They're gonna watch this and they're gonna go, oh. Anyone seen? No. Okay. I was like, Taylor, is he in the living room? No. Right. Okay. Go through to the living room and I look outside and I'm trying to look at the camera to see how low down I can be. So he's asleep in the hot tub.
He's in the hot tub.
He's in the hot tub, and he's fallen asleep like this. And I shit you not, the water level is like here, and he's holding his tinny. And his tinny's just out of the water, like, and he's butt naked. He's butt naked, and he's like that. And he's falling asleep, and I take a photo out of the pain, like.
And the water's just like.
Oh, the water's just like around, like how he didn't die. Because genuinely, we were like, how do we explain this?
Yeah.
You know,
but did you die?
And yeah, genuinely, and he was so saturated. He was like a sponge because he'd been in there for like 4 hours, 5 hours, and obviously, like when he woke up, the water wasn't that warm because obviously the lid had been off it for ages. So as I put the phone up to take the photo, my phone chaps off the glass, and he goes, oh, and like sits up like he's like, you know, resurrected, and and obviously at this point it's daylight, and he's quite cold, and he comes in. I'm like, how are you not dead? Yeah,
so, like pneumonia and shit like that. You know what I mean?
The photo that I've taken of him, that was the group icon photo for a while, and that photo is going to haunt him to his grave. So yeah, there's
mate.
Every so often, if he gets a bit big for his boots in the chat, someone just like replied, like, you know, they'll scroll back up and they put like a dot and just replied to it, and he's like, fuck off.
Andrew, a fucking legend having you on, mate.
Thank you very much. Absolute pleasure to be on.
It's a perfect place to wrap up. You are. This has been so much fun, mate.
Honestly. Yeah, I've genuinely really enjoyed it.
100%. When you get down there, man, fucking keep in touch, and I think I'm coming down to Australia. It's in November, December time. Yeah,
I've got a couple of people coming over end of the year. So although I don't know where I'm going yet, they're like, you better have a gaff with a spare room by the end of the year, so I've got somewhere to stay. So
yeah, you'll have to show me around a bit, man. Mate, honestly, thank you so much.
No
mate.
problem. No
Absolute
problem
pleasure,
at all. Cheers.
Mate. Legend.
That's weird talking now without the earphones on.
Mate, that was fucking.
Cheers,
that was
man.
dynamite, mate. Honestly, fuck, mate.